shift for sure.
Yeah.
It's been a big transition for our faculty as well, with our staff. All of our online student services are online as well. And our students, I mean, it's just been a huge turnover.
Yeah, probably many have experienced also loss of jobs.
Certainly, our students and faculty and staff, family members, most likely, our community has been impacted greatly. All right, it looks like we are recording and we are also live on YouTube right now.
So
And
I'm going to put myself in mute, I think, right?
yes. And it looks like Heather Parnock will be the host. And I will mute myself as well.
Miss Paula, are you on?
She's good now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I call this meeting to order at 5:07 PM. Roll call, please.
5:07. Trustee Calhoun? Trustee Calhoun?
Dr.
I can't hear.
Kirk, can you help your colleague?
Dr.
Chief.
LeBlanc?
Present.
Andres Ramos?
Present.
Dr. Little? Dr. Little?
She's also muted. Heather, can you help her unmute? Because she's unable to do so.
Okay, now I was muted by the host. I'm present.
Thank you. Trustee Lee?
Present.
Trustee Lopez?
Present. I
Thank you.
believe Trustee Calhoun is unmuted now.
I got her. Yes, thank you.
I don't see a flag for us to face, but Trustee LeBlanc, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes. Right hand over your heart, please. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance
To the flag
of the
United States of America, and to the republic
Republic for which it
stands
stands,
one
One
nation,
nation,
under
under
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item number 6, report of actions taken in closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.1. There is nothing to report. Actually, then we're moving on to item number 7, approval of open session agenda. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Been moved by Dr. LeBlanc, and I didn't catch the second.
Sharani Little.
And it's been seconded by Dr. Little. Do we have any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Ms. Paula, can you call the vote?
Trustee Calhoun?
Aye.
Dr. LeBlanc?
Aye.
Trustee Ramos?
Aye.
Dr. Little?
Aye.
Trustee Lee?
aye.
Trustee Lopez?
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 9, request to address the Board of Trustees agenda and non-agenda item matters. Do we have any public comment?
No request.
Moving on to 9.2, Compton Community College District Board of Trustees future agenda items requests. Do we have any future request items to add?
Oh, did everybody receive that? Is this the time when I asked about that resolution that the all of us received?
Can we talk about that on future agenda items towards the end of the meeting?
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
But I have it a note.
Okay, thank you.
Moving on to item number 10, Board of Trustees meeting minutes. Can I get a motion for item 10.01, minutes of March 17, 2020, Board of Trustees Special Board Meeting?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Dr. LeBlanc and seconded by Trustee Ramos. Do we have any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Ms. Paulo, can we call the question?
Dr. Little,
Aye.
Trustee Ramos,
Aye.
Dr. LeBlanc,
Aye.
Trustee Calhoun,
Aye.
Trustee Lee,
Aye.
Trustee Lopez.
Aye. Moving
Thank
on
you.
to item 10.02, minutes of the March 17, 2020 Board of Trustees meeting. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Ramos and seconded by Dr. Little. Do we have any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Ms. Paula, can you call the question?
Dr. Little,
Aye.
Trustee Ramos,
Aye.
Dr. LeBlanc,
Aye.
Trustee Calhoun,
Aye.
Trustee Lee,
Aye.
Trustee Lopez.
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 11, reports from representatives of employee organizations. The first one up is Academic Senate report. Do we have a representative?
No, we do not. There's no one here that's on the line. And I knew that Professor Evans would not be here, but I was looking to see if Amber would not be speaking tonight. He said no report.
When you say no representative, is just that for 11-1 or for all of the categories?
Just for 11-1.
Got it.
The students there, I don't see Holly on the here yet, and I don't see Mayqua, but Holly is not here, but Nathan is here though.
Got it. So just, I'll go over each item. 11.2, certified employees report. Just to confirm, there's no one on here for this category. Moving on to 11.3, classified employees report. Just to confirm, we don't have anyone on the meeting. Moving on to 11.4, Associated Student Body Report. Nathan?
Nathan?
Is he unmuted?
He's
Yes,
unmuted.
he is. Nathan, do you have a report to share with us? Oh, he's having issues with his mic. I think Nathan's having some technical difficulties. Let us know when you're back up and we can come back to this section. We're going to move on to number 12, presentations. We have a presentation today from Compton College Faculty and Administrator Hiring Process, a report. Dr. Curry?
Yeah, so we've been working for the last year. I think last June, we brought forward a contract with the University of Southern California Center for Urban Education to look at our faculty and administrative hiring process. So tonight we're blessed to have Dr. Stella Ben-Simone, faculty member from USC, who also oversaw the report, to provide a presentation to the Board of Trustees. Dr. Ben-Simone.
Am I unmuted?
Yes, you are. We can hear you.
Thank you. Well, thank you for inviting us. It's a pleasure to meet all of you, even if virtually in this difficult times. As President Curry mentioned, I direct the Center for Urban Education at the University of Southern California. And our center is dedicated to infusing, normalizing racial equity in higher education. And to do that, we work with colleges, particularly with faculty, in order to look at how pedagogies as well as practices like hiring are focusing on essentially equity mindedness in both in teaching, in leading, and in hiring. And typically the way that we do that is through methods of observation, involving faculty in action research projects. And the work that we did at Compton was actually carried out by Dr. Marisiko Wheaton, who's here with me today. And she conducted a series of interviews, observations of the hiring process. We looked at documents, and we also had an institute on hiring practices with a focus on equity mindedness. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Wheaton, who will present a brief overview of the report. I believe you all have had access to the report that we developed. We have provided a series of recommendations. And maybe after Marisiko presents, if you have questions, we would be happy to answer them. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Marisiko, and I don't know whether you have control that you could share your screen. We have a brief PowerPoint presentation.
So we provided you, Dr. Bensimon, with access to the screen. So I will change that right now to give it to you. Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed that.
Oh.
Could you say it again, please?
This is
One second.
And it may be helpful for those of us who are listening to put your screen on speaker view, because that way it'll focus on Dr. Wheaton while she's speaking. It'll actually highlight whoever speaks, so it'll jump around when we open up for questions and things like that. It'll just make it a little easier.
Is she able to do that herself?
Okay.
Yeah.
No, because we gave you co-host things, so I got to figure out how to remove your co-host and add you back in.
Or you can leave her as co-host and then go on, Dr.
It
Kerr.
looks like I can actually share from my computer.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We set it up.
Okay, great. Let me see if I can bring it up really quickly.
I saw it earlier, Marisiko. It seemed to be on. There it is. Yes, great.
Okay, so I know we're limited on time, so I want to be mindful of that. Thank you all so much for having us. So I'm just going to briefly go over a few of the findings and recommendations that we provided after doing research with Compton College. So let me see. So just a quick overview of the timeline. In August of 2019 is when we started, interviewing folks, inviting people to administrators and faculty to engage in interviews. September, we actually had Dr. Curry send out another invitation just to really emphasize the importance of the study, and we continued doing interviews during that time. October, I did my first observation of a hiring committee that was selecting a position during that time. And I, again, continued doing interviews during that time. And in early November, I believe it was November 1st, we conducted the Hiring Institute, where I was able to meet some of you, as well as a host of other folks who joined us that day. And we had some great discussion and kind of provided some tools on how to sort of improve racial equity within the hiring process. We had a total of 13 interviews. Out of the, I think there was maybe 25 people who were invited, and about 13 people participated in interviews. And in December, and I did another observation. And then in December is when we sort of ended data collection. I did a final observation with a total of 3 observations for the hiring committee. So I'm going to go over one of the 2 overarching findings that we developed for the report, just due to time. The first finding was really focused on the changing demographics at Compton College. It was focusing on, the institution being formally seen as more of a, historically Black institution, and transitioning now into a Hispanic serving institution, and what that means for the college, and how, the institution can sort of respond to those changing demographics. And this second set of findings, I'm going to go over in a little bit more depth because it's the focus of the hiring process. And what we found is that there were some themes as it relates to the hiring process being regimented in some ways. So the themes that I've kind of developed for this were, the first one was gatekeeping. And so the idea that there was a lot of ideas that the committee had when selecting candidates. And so the idea that they needed to have X number of years teaching, that they needed to have been at a community college, and that there was very little room for people who didn't have those specific qualifications, despite the fact that perhaps they could have still been a successful candidate in the process. The second theme within this overarching finding is an emphasis on scoring. So we know that obviously there's a ton of candidates that go through the process, and numbers are an easy way to sort of capture how we want to identify a candidate's potential success in the role. But what I found is that kind of limited the conversation when it related to qualifications of each candidate, that it left very little room for the committee to discuss how that candidate might do in the interview process as well as in the position itself. And equity was not necessarily a competence of equity was not necessarily included when the committee was talking about the scores for each candidate. In addition, I noticed that during the focus on scoring, one of the meetings, 90% of the meeting really focused on literally just listing the numbers of each candidate rather than discussing in depth each candidate. Another highlight was that there was a perceived neutral hiring process. The idea that if you talk about racial equity, then it's no longer neutral. And so there was a lack of assessment as it relates to racial equity when it comes to what is perceived as neutral for each candidate to be successful in the process. And another theme that I gathered is the idea of an equity deficient protocol, meaning that equity was not included in the interview questions in the way that the committee was assessing how candidates would understand the student population, the needs of the population, that there was really very little discussion of how to assess a candidate's competence of racial equity in particular. And so I can go over the recommendations, but what I'll also do is provide an example of what the Center for Urban Education provides as a way to think about how to include equity in the hiring process. So I'm not going to go over the recommendations in depth. Obviously, we have a short amount of time, but I do want to just highlight the first, which is that the use of race-conscious and equity-minded language in job announcements and interview protocol should be a priority, particularly as we think about a place with the context of Compton College, where you all are serving a predominantly Black and Latinx student population. That you want to actually include that and emphasize the importance of candidates needing to have a competence of those particular communities if they're going to be working at Compton College. The others are included in the report, but I do want to make sure that I move forward just so that we can leave time for questions if we have it. So this is what I was actually referring to. This is an example of a more traditional interview protocol, where we would usually see, what's a focus on credentials, experience, as in number of years, whether they worked at a community college or served as a faculty member before, their leadership commitments in the past, governance skills, sensitivity to diversity issues or identities. And not to say that these things are not important. They are very important in terms of assessing a candidate. But what I want to provide is an alternative example, which is what the Center for Urban Education uses in a lot of our education with faculty and administrators. Here you can see that we provide an additional set of competencies that you can perhaps include in your interview protocol. So cultural competence, the ability to share common experiences with students. That might look like the identity of the candidate themselves or just an experience with that particular community. Engages in self-reflection. So are you asking questions that ask the candidate to talk about the ways that they've assessed student populations as well as their own practice, focusing on instructor responsibility. So are they willing to change their practices to respond to the needs of the students? Uses their position and knowledge to support student success. So uses institutional knowledge and authority to support student populations who are experiencing equity gaps. Are they mindful of and attentive to those equity gaps? And then the last section that we suggest is, that they view the student as capable, using the student knowledge as an asset. So not looking at students through a deficit approach, not looking at it as though, oh, these students come with limited tools, they don't have everything that they need, we have to support them, but actually that they see the student as coming with all of the tools that they need, and it's their responsibility as a faculty member to respond to those things. One sort of example that Estella has used in the past is that, when a doctor is treating a patient, they don't necessarily, expect that the patient comes healthy, that they understand that the patient is going to come with all different circumstances, and it's actually their job as a medical doctor to be able to be attentive to those unique needs of the patient. And so that's one way to kind of think about what it means to be equity-minded in this work. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for now. I do have additional slides that I can share if we have time, but I'm going to leave it here for now just to open it up for questions. And Estella, if you have any additional thoughts, you can share as well.
So the reason why we emphasize hiring is because the way that you bring about change in an institution, a specific, cultural change, is through the faculty hiring process. So faculty hiring is extremely important in terms of becoming the institution that you want to be. You have a big responsibility in terms of the students who come to you. And we think it's important to look not only for faculty candidates who have the degrees and the content experience, but who also have the ability to empathize with students and not to have lower expectations of them, to have high expectations, but also to be able to facilitate their success. And we think that the hiring process, particularly the interview process, can be built around those kinds of capacity. I'll stop there and see if you have any questions.
Barbara Calhoun, can you see me?
Your video's off, but your audio is on, Trustee Calhoun.
Oh, my video's off. Okay, I told you guys I do stuff wrong. Do I click on start video?
Yeah.
You can ask your questions if you don't.
Okay, I read this report and from the one, and this was so enlightening. And I say that because I'm fairly new on the board. I was recently elected 2018, so almost 2 years. And that was one of my biggest questions and concerns about the equity in the interviews and the hiring. And I read that report along with the faculty and administrative hiring report, the big thick one. And some of the concerns that you have in the Compton College faculty hiring report just proved some of the things that I had been talking about. And I always said, a lot of people don't have college experience for working for a college. And so just because they haven't worked for a college doesn't mean that they couldn't work for a college, because they do have the background, the degrees, they just haven't had the opportunity to work for the college, and they come from the community. And I just saw that some of the questions, like, there were no questions like, are you familiar with Compton College? Are you aware of the history of Compton College? And I noticed that those questions was not part of the interview questions, or even if it's not part of the interview questions, it could be part of the questions that they send out to the men and women that want to be interviewed. You know what I'm saying? And if they have that question, and when they put that answer on that paper and turn it back in to be prepared for the interview, that the interviewees can see that the individual candidate does know about Compton College, the history. You know, we lost accreditation, we have it back, and things like that. I enjoyed this report. I am so glad we had this report, and I just thank you so much, so that you can take the eyeglasses off and you can see everything clearly. And I know it wasn't a question, it was a statement, but I'm just proud of this report. Thank you.
I'm glad that the report has been well received by you, Trustee Calhoun. Even though Maricico didn't speak about this, one important aspect of this report, particularly in connection to knowing the history of Compton, is also understanding how Compton is changing because of the growing Latinx population. And so I think that the challenge for you is to think about, how do you create a Compton college that can hold on to its wonderful history, but also be a college that is inclusive of the new student population. And we did notice that that there was perhaps, this is an area of maybe not resistance, but it's something that is not always openly discussed in terms of the, you are now, I believe, designated as a Hispanic serving institution. And you could be a model for other colleges on how to be both a Hispanic serving institution as well as a historically Black serving community college.
Thank you very much. I don't know
Thank you,
that.
Dr. Calhoun. Trustee LeBlanc?
Yes, thank you so much for your comments. First of all, Dr. Whedon, I'd like to thank you for your presentation. One of the greatest takeaways from the presentation is that it provides a framework for being able to come up with your discussions and your questions around equity-minded competency when you're interviewing. And I think that sometimes there's too much focus on the color, the race element, and there needs to be more focus on some of the common factors that some of our students may share based on their socioeconomic status as opposed to their race. Because I think that we probably have, our students probably have more in common economically than making so much focus on what color their skin is. And that your presentation gave a good guideline for how we can begin to coach our interviewing committees and other panels on how to look deeper into applicants as they're coming forth. Because it's more than just having a degree, but can you connect with this student population base that we are hiring you to come in and work with? And that is so, so critical. And thank you very much. You gave a lot of great examples of areas that can be focused on.
Thank you so much, Trustee Dr. LeBlanc. I know Trustee Little has some questions.
Yeah, and I really wanted to, it's a a statement and then a question, kind of following up on Dr. LeBlanc, and really kind of separating two of the issues that have been discussed. One, transitioning from a historically Black college to a historically Hispanic, or now a Hispanic serving institution. And I think that speaks more of student demographic, but the faculty demographic has not historically been faculty of color. And I think that that differentiation needs to be made clear, because oftentimes the hiring committees have replicated themselves because they have reified, regardless of who the student body has been, it has not been inclusive or equity minded. And so I think whether we remain Hispanic serving, whether it moves into a new dominant demographic, it speaks to how do we as faculty, or how do the faculty, especially those who are longer serving, both be open to, in their hiring committees, new faculty. And as I've said a lot, faculty have disciplinary knowledge. They don't even have pedagogical or curricular knowledge, let alone many of them the knowledge to deal with cultural competence or the desire. So I think we must be clear about both with the faculty hiring, but also those faculty who remain in the class, equipping them with the skill set, regardless of who the student demographic is, how to be inclusive and affirming, and ensuring that they're teaching in an appropriate way, both culturally responsive, but pedagogically sound. And then separate from that, I think it is important for us to look at the developmental stages for the search committees, and how do we set, when we disaggregate the numbers, how do we set targets, in a sense, of what would be an ideal number when we start thinking about whether historically Black, Hispanic serving, or whatever the future may hold. I'll stop there.
I was just going to say something briefly. We provide also samples of how to write a position announcement that speaks very clearly about this is what our college is like, and that these are who our students are, and we are looking for individuals who have experience in, whether it's in a Hispanic serving institution or an HBCU, so that the announcement is very clear about that. And that is not a violation of California's anti-affirmative action regulation.
209, yes. And I think that's important, and also with the existing faculty, because I think you're exactly right, Dr. Ben-Simone, that for those who are coming in, you can't cast a wide net if you don't know how to fish, which is the title of a presentation that I've done, because again, we have to stay focused on what are the skill sets needed, but we can't wait until we replace existing faculty, that we have to do a both and strategy. And so I also love the report. I think it gives us great strategies, from writing the description to participating in a search process. But I would hope that, I think Trustee Calhoun raised that issue, that we find people who are pedagogically sound and who are culturally responsively sound and equity minded at the same time. So thank you both so much, and we look forward to continued partnership. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Curry.
In order to do that, then the hiring process has to be changed.
Yes.
And so that's your work now.
Yes, but you've given us the tools, so we appreciate it.
Trustee Ramos, do you have questions or comments?
No, I'm good.
Our student trustee, Lee, do you have any questions or comments? I think our student trustee is muted.
Yeah. Heather may have to release it.
Great to have some Trojans here. Trojans forever.
I was trying to not, just demonstrate the excellence.
I couldn't help it.
Yes. Trojans are well represented on the
court. I know we're working on Trustee Lee. Can I make a couple comments?
Yeah.
Okay, so We're excited about the report that's provided. We're going to move forward with, once the board takes action to accept the report, the district will move forward with developing an action plan to implement the recommendations. Tina Cooperman, who is our Director of Title IX Compliance, is going to be working on an action plan that we'll bring back to the board, hopefully by the May meeting, if not by the June meeting. And so we're going to start implementing, we'll implement the recommendations. The first piece of recommendations is that the Center for Urban Education provided us with edits to our hiring procedure for faculty and administrative. And so we're going to work on that and bring that forward through the process. So we get that implemented and bring it to the board, hopefully by May/June. So we're using this as our blueprint. We're creating action plans, and then the board can be able to see how we're going to be implementing those action plans based off the report.
I know that we're still getting our student trustee on, but in the meantime, I know that there was a comment mentioned by Dr. Maricico that you had additional information to present, and I didn't know if that was a second attachment that was on here or something.
It was just, I was just actually going to reference it if it came up, additional information on the themes from the first finding, but it seems like folks are pretty familiar with it, so I don't necessarily need to go into depth. One thing that I did want to add though, and some folks might have different opinions about this practice, but as you all were talking earlier about, how to create expectations for candidates, one thing to keep in mind is to consider giving candidates the questions in advance. I know that might seem odd, but actually, it actually gives you an opportunity to see candidates come at their highest level of preparation, that they, and people can't really make up stories, right? Like they still have to be authentic. They still have to draw from their own experience, but you'd be surprised, the quality of the interviews would be so much richer if people have an opportunity to actually respond directly to the questions that you prepare for them.
I think that's an excellent recommendation, because what it allows for is, because sometimes in traditional settings, you have prepared for and have practiced. And it's not that, individuals, especially faculty of color, are not, excellent or have the expertise. But if you are serious about what skills they have, what knowledge and experiences, you want them to be well equipped to respond to that. It's not a catch-you. So I think that would be an excellent addition. And then you can be able to discern the authenticity and the depth. Thank you.
Just to go back as our student trustee, do you have any questions or comments?
No.
All right. Thank you so much. We appreciate the presentation. I think she's muted.
Yeah. No, okay. I think our part is done. And I do want to acknowledge Dr. Wheaton. She really led this project very expertly. And so all the gratitude goes to her.
We thank you both.
Thank you. And I wish you well in these difficult times. And Dr. Curry, thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.
We will now leave, I think. you will make, so I have to figure out how we leave.
You can just leave the meeting and you'll be done.
Okay. Let's see, do we press?
Leave.
Should be on the top, in the bottom right-hand corner, end meeting for you.
She's gone.
Thank you all. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
All right, we are moving on to item number 13, 2020-2021 Compton Community College District Budget Workshop, 13.01, 2021 Compton College Planning and Budget Calendar.
So I just want to provide an update to the board. We're in the process of developing our planning and budget calendar for the 2020-2021 year. So included in the packet is the board, the budget and planning calendar, which is a part of the board policy. Just want to let you know where we're at in the process now. We're basically putting the budget together as relates to our planning documents. So the senior cabinet has been doing prioritization in regards to funding requests for next year. And we also have the budget assumptions for next year as well. And so you get more information on that later on today. in the next presentation regards to budget assumption. So this is just a layout that we're in the process of setting up the budget, and our goal is to bring the budget to the board at the June board meeting.
Dr. Curry? Dr. Curry?
Yes, trustee.
Oh, I'm sorry. In light of everything that's going on, I know that you keep us well abreast. So we know that if there is a need prior to June, you will inform us if there's a necessity, correct?
Yeah, our goal regards to the budget and planning calendar is a little bit to look at the May meeting. We'll probably have an update to the board, especially after the May revise. As I mentioned to some board members previously, is that I'm really concerned about the May revise and what the governor says in the budget. And so once we have more information at the May board meeting, we'll have another conversation, which is different from our calendar, regards to an update. But we're really anticipating the May revise. We don't know how it's going to look due to the pandemic, but we do expect there's going to be major changes in the budget.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Moving on to 13.02, 2020-21 budget presentation.
So I'm going to begin this presentation tonight, and also Stephen Kabui, who is our Vice President of Administrative Services, will be providing the presentation as well. So Heather's pulling everything up. So in the presentation, we'll start with our goals for the 2020-2021 year. Later on in a board meeting, we have more time to talk about the goals. So I just want to give you some broad strokes about what the goals are for next year. And then later on in the agenda, we talk about the details of it, where the board can be able to provide input. Heather, can you hit the presentation? Got it. So go to the next slide, Heather. So we talk about the 2021 goals. Then Steve will provide an update on the budget, of the California state budget, also the funding formula update, and then also the 2021 preliminary Compton district budget assumptions. Next slide. Heather, next slide. Got it. So just to give you a brief, and we'll talk about this later on, the first goal is ensuring that we implement the charter completion by design, implement charter completion by design to ensure all students complete their degrees quickly with less unit transfer and are employed. So if you look at that goal for number one, the key to that is some of the activities regards to our partnership with Achieving a Dream, also increasing our capacity and skill level of all of our faculty for online remote instruction, and strengthening the evaluation, how we evaluate our distance education program, provide additional support for student services, also looking at our 504, 508 regards to University of Design to make sure that's happening on our campus. The second goal is a grow enrollment by 5980 FTS. So right now, our goal this year, we're about 4,200 FTS projection. So our goal is to get to 5980 FTS and offer 1414 course sections during the 2020-2021 year. Also support our accreditation efforts. Most people know that in March of 2021, our mid-year report is due to the Credit Commission. As a side note, I'm going to initiate conversation with the Credit Commission to look at them pushing back, asking them about their timeline due to COVID-19. Are they still going to be on the same timeline for midterm reports? And I'm going to have that conversation with them next week or so. But our report, what we're working on, we have a draft developed already right now as well. Can you go down, Heather, please, number 4? Number 4 is improve the Compton, continue to improve facilities at Compton College. One of the goals is to complete our construction for instructional building number 2, which is due to be done in the winter of 2021. Also monitor the construction of instructional building 2 and also student services building. Just so everyone knows, we have 3 buildings in construction right now on our campus. That's unheard of, and especially during these times. Also monitoring some of our planning for the vocational technology building and also math science building renovation. The 5th goal is continue to develop partnerships with our schools, colleges, and universities, and businesses, and community-based organizations. This was important, especially look for workforce training and economic development, especially we start to look at the number of individuals who are on unemployment. And number 6 is create a sense of belonging, a sense of connection among employees, students, and also college employees working on making our collaborative governance document regards to how decisions are made, really supporting and our equity champs on our campus, and also looking at different initiatives with the LGBTQ+, foster youth, and also men of color. And then also supporting our activity with Achieving the Dream as it relates to professional development. As I mentioned earlier, we talk about this more later on in the meeting. I just want to give you some overview of where we're at in regards to our goals for the college. These goals have been shared with the Consultative Council. We'll also share with the campus-wide committee again today, and will be shared with the Planning and Budget Committee. Now I'd like to turn it over to Steve Caboy to talk about the budget. Steve.
Thank you for having me. We're gonna go through the budget presentation by the governor. So the governor on January 10th presented the state budget for 2021, and we're just gonna look at the community college portion of it. Some of the major policy decisions which the governor presented in January. So the first one is a cost of living adjustment. The governor proposed 2.29% COLA, which right now, the way things look like, we don't know. Then the other major decision is increasing Prop 98 funds for community colleges by 800 million. The next item is a teacher's retirement system. The governor is proposing putting funds down to pay off the debt. So right now, the employer contribution is 19.1%. But if the governor goes with the proposal in January, it's gonna reduce the rate to 18.4%. So what this means is, if we pay a faculty $100,000, the district contributes 19,100. But if the governor goes with his proposal, it will be for $100,000 faculty, the district will pay 18,400. Also, there are several categorical programs which always increase by COLA, and these are the CalWACs, EOPS, DSPS, and Adult Education Program. So again, we don't know about COLA. Things will change in May. Go ahead to the next screen.
And then the next slide. Thank you.
Okay, so the other major policy decision, there was no change in the student funding formula. However, the governor is recommending including in the metrics first generation students. So in the future, we're gonna see this as one of the metrics which will be part of the funded. And this one will be a big hit for the college because most of our students are first generation students. So it's very important for during the intake process, we take those data properly. The next major policy decision was the $10 million for zero textbook through open education resources. So these funds will be distributed to the colleges based on certain criteria which the colleges have to apply for. The other major policy decision is $5.8 million to assist undocumented students. So these funds will be distributed based on the MIS data or the FTS. They haven't said much, but that's a proposal for now. Then another major policy decision is $11.4 million to support school-wide campus food program. So most of our students within the community colleges, they go hungry, and the governor have realized the importance of putting funds to assist our students. So 11.4 million will be distributed to 111 community colleges based on either student demographic or we don't know that basis, but we have that funding based on the general governor's proposal. Next screen, please. Next one.
Next slide, Heather, please.
So again, the COLA which the governor proposed for the entire funding formula is gonna increase by 167.2 million, but again, that is uncertain. Then he also included 31.9 million, estimated at 0.5% growth in FTS statewide. And I think this one we are not eligible because we underhold harmless. So, but whichever school district grows by enrollment, they have that bucket of funds available. So this table shows our the proposed funding formula, the distribution of the state student-centered funding formula. So in the next budget year, 2020-21, still enrollment is at 70%, supplemental as 20%, and the success metric at 10%. In 2021-2022, it was at 65, 20, and 15, and the year after that was 60, 20, 20. So right now there are discussion to make it 70, 20, 10 as permanent. So we're gonna see as more information comes along, we're gonna share with you. Next slide.
There's some delay as given that we're online, so I think they are moving to the next one.
Yes. So that this now this assumption for specific for Compton College. So we're gonna continue to implement the student-centered funding formula, and as Dr. Carey mentioned, our goal is to target the 5980 FTS, and also we're gonna increase the contribution to the retirement system. So the pension rates for other employees other than faculty is 22.8 right now, and for faculty is 18.4. So those are the budget assumptions we're gonna implement in our tentative budget until we receive otherwise. Next slide, please. So the budget for next year, 2021, we gonna factor a number of faculty positions. We have about 12 faculty. The first one is chemistry. The next one is UPS care, guided pathway counselor. The next one we have film and video social media faculty, HVAC, history, English and journalism, social media. Then we have 3 nursing instructors, political science, special resource guided pathway counselor, welding. Go ahead. Okay. Then for classified position, we have Associate Dean of Nursing, which is from the restricted fund from categorical funds. And for the general fund, we have six positions for the police officers. So those will be part of our general fund 2021 budget. Go the next slide, please. The other major assumptions for our district is we have budget augmentation. We have $100,000 for enrollment management plan, then one-time enhancement of about $150,000. Our line of credit, we're gonna pay $1.182 million. Contribution to OPEB, other post-employment benefit contribution, $1.134 million. Then contribution to future stars and pars, $200,000, and another $145,000 for election this year. Next slide, please. So Compton College has, and we have a reserve ending balance of 3.75 million. Among these will be 3 million will be for our enterprise resource planning system. Then 400,000 will be for our personnel commission, and 350,000 will be for our future fire academy. Then we're gonna do a transfer to our property and liability of 400,000. I think next slide, please.
Next slide is the question part.
Yes.
Okay, so if you don't have comment, I will call Trustee Dr. LeBlanc. Do you have any questions or comments?
I just had a question on the laptop when you were talking about the textbooks, and I was just wondering if the fund center for your laptops, because I know we gave out a lot this time, but is this going to be a continued practice? And if so, what is the fund center that comes out of? Where is that going to be replenished out of? Is that part of our pathway funding, or just what? How do we continue to provide laptops for our students?
So the
Dr. Steve, can I jump in on this? Dr. Block,
Okay,
Keith Curry.
please.
That's a great question. I think I just want to talk about our goals a little bit. So one of our goals talks about technology, and I'm very adamant that we have to put technology in our students' hands. And because of the board's support of the district, we were able to set aside $500,000 in our COVID-19 funding of about $500,000. So we utilized those dollars for laptops, and we also utilize we're also going to be utilizing some of our student equity and achievement dollars. Our goal as we move forward as an institution is how we put technology in our student hands. And it has to be ongoing. So today we got a proposal from EOPS that they have to be able to provide provide laptops to their students who are in their program, but we have to make sure that we put technology in our students' hands. And it has to come from our categorical dollars, but also our COVID dollars, and then also the CARES Act dollars can help support this as well. But it has to be a long-term strategy as relates to technology.
Yes.
If we don't, if there's another pandemic outbreak, we have the same issue. We have to have our students with technology.
Excellent. Thank you.
Do you have anything else, Dr. LeBlanc?
Oh, that was my big question.
All right, Trustee
Thank you.
Cahoon? You are muted, Trustee Calhoun.
Okay, sorry. Dr. Curry, you said we're gonna discuss this later on, or are we discussing this now?
Which part, the goals?
The budget workshop, yeah.
It's right now, you're doing it right now. The only part we discuss later is the goals for next year. I put as a part of the agenda, there's a discussion item for the board to be able to provide input into the goals.
Okay, so we really won't know what the effect COVID-19 will be until probably after May, right?
We will get an update from the governor in the May revise. That will help us regards to our planning. So that's why we know that we have to go back to make some changes to the budget assumptions based off the May revise.
Okay, my other questions are about the goals, but you said we're gonna discuss that later on, right?
Yes.
Was that yes?
Yes.
Okay, so I won't ask anything else except for that. I have more questions on the goals and every, well, I had stuff about the budget, but hold on. I'm sorry. On the state budget where it says no change to student center funding, will it change if we have less students or more?
Yes, so based off the funding formula, and Steve can jump in at any point, but based off the funding formula, the way it's currently written in language, if our budget is higher, if our enrollment is higher than what's funded, then we would get whatever's higher. That's the current language. Will that language stay in place based off of the state and the revenue? I don't know, but that current language is there through 2024. So if we can have 5980, or let's say there's a boom and we have more students, then the funding formula takes into account. So what does that mean, Trustee Calhoun? Keep it on that slide for me. What that means is, let's say our enrollment increases, then you're also looking at the supplemental and also the success rather than the head count of what we're currently getting. And so it all depends on how it works out tomorrow. Not tomorrow, but in the May revise is how we move forward. But we get whatever's higher.
Okay, and my last question, I think, probably not, about the budget assumptions, the vacant faculty positions that are already included in the budget. Do you have any idea the long-term goal or the short-term goal when they will be hiring for these positions, or we're gonna lay low until after the May revise to see exactly where we are, just in case it will affect the budget?
So what we have decided, with the policy statement that we came out with a month ago, I think it was that we're moving forward with filling a position for the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, because that's one of our signature programs, and we need a full-time faculty member. We have a faculty member who is a temporary full-time running the program this semester, because our permanent full-time person retired in December. And we also need to fill the nursing positions as relates to our BRN requirement. The other positions that we have on the list, they're budgeted for next year. However, we have pushed the hiring to go back through December. So the committees are meeting and talking about the hiring process to get these moving, but we're not going to make any selection of candidates until next fall.
Okay, I'm just concerned about police officer when you have 6 positions.
Oh, for the faculty, for the faculty positions.
I'm
so
sorry.
For the faculty positions. However, for the classified positions for the police, our issue now is that due to COVID-19, the background checks and the individuals that do background checks are not able to do those background checks right now due to the issue regards to COVID-19, and that's a priority. The Associate Dean of Nursing, we have to hire. The BRN, this is a BRN requirement, the Board Registered Nursing. We have to have that position filled on a permanent basis by July 1.
Okay. All right, those are all of my questions. I went through it. I'll wait for the goals. When we discuss the goals, I have other questions later on.
All right. Trustee Ramos, do you have any comments or questions?
Nope.
Dr. Little, do you have any comments or questions?
Yeah, just a couple. In terms of the fire academy, Dr. Curry, is that something that we're going to be able to continue with, or will we have to put that on hold as well?
The problem with the fire academy is, we've been looking at a new partnership with the LA River, with Long Beach City, and also Cerritos, is that when we first initiated the conversation with the city, it's always came back, the city doesn't have funding to support it. And so now we're looking at a regional approach to look for a facility for a fire academy. But the problem was our recommendation was to go to state to ask for money to support this, and also through our regional dollars locally, our local regional dollars through Strong Workforce. It is a project that we want to move forward with. So we kept the $350,000 in our budget to be able to buy equipment, but long-term, it goes back to the site for this facility, and then also who we work with in partnership with.
Okay, and then the District Personnel Commission, that's just money that we're keeping in reserve until the date in forget the year.
2028, 2029.
2028, 29, but we're just carrying over the monies.
Yeah, we're actually, this is a recommendation from the classified unit, because when we first was looking at bringing the Personnel Commission back, is make sure you have a budget for when they start. And so in previous years, we looked at their budget, and we don't set the budget, they set their own budget. but we're looking at the budget's going to be between $300,000 to $400,000 a year ongoing. So we set aside enough money for the start of the Personnel Commission when we have to bring it back by statutory requirement. The issue that you're going to have is, especially in the COVID-19 era, is a long-term cost.
Yeah. So that was why I was asking if that's set aside and is like restricted for that use only, or is it still part of unrestricted and we're just allocating it, or have we?
It's unrestricted dollars.
Okay, so we can reassign it if we needed to, basically.
No, you can't. That's with the Personnel Commission, is that they set the process, and we can provide you with more information on it. But the Personnel Commission sets their budget, and then the district, if we don't agree, then it goes to LA County to be able to have a LA County Office of Education to determine the budget. We don't set the budget for Personnel Commission. They tell us what their budget could be. They can come back and say the budget might be 500,000 versus 400,000. But then we could disagree with that, but LA County makes the final decision as relates to that.
Okay, final question. Under student success, where you have the 3-year funding plan and how it increases 5% each year, is there somewhere where we can see how that will be allocated, like what it will be going to, or is it just right now a general pot?
That the way the state sets it up, it's a general pot, and they break it down to I think it's 60, you look at the 60, 70, 60, that. So that's how it's broken down. Are you looking at what's the dollar amount for each of those pots?
Well, I was just trying to get a sense of, do we have autonomy like around student success, like you were talking about, for example, the need for technology? Can campus to campus, we allocate that we feel that, better technology or actually giving students their own technology instead of loaners is part of our own student success strategy? Or do we have to, is it set things we have to use it toward?
No, that is basically the general fund operational budget, and that's all at the district discretion. But I would tell you, regards to technology, we're looking at our categorical dollars, but also if all of our categorical programs, from my perspective, are able to provide technology to the students, then that takes away a certain number. And then the district should be looking at a way to be able to provide it for our students. But we have to be very creative with technology, and we have to be bold. One of the things that I think about a lot is LA Unified School District, when they were looking at technology years ago in regards to iPads. And there's a lot of people in uproar about iPads for LA Unified School District. Now, if you look at what happened with COVID-19, the conversation about we should all have laptops for our students. But we have to think about it that way. All of our students, we have to make sure that all of our students have technology. So how do we get to 100%? And that should be our thought process.
Okay,
And hopefully the board agrees with that.
When we go back to Trustee Calhoun, she had a follow-up.
Yes, Dr. Curry. Thank you, Dr. Little, for asking that question about the Fire Academy. Dr. Curry, I know that you have been trying to work with the city about this matter, and it's about the equipment that they would need. Does it make any difference where they do the testing at, or where they do their fire stuff at? Does it make any difference, or does it have to really be with another college? Because I heard you say Long Beach and something else, so it can be on that college.
No, what we're looking at is a facility which we took to board a couple months, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, regards to our strategic partnership with Long Beach and also Cerritos, is looking at a regional approach to strong workforce. The issue with the city of Compton that we've been working through is about the current location of their fire station. There is about $1 million worth of upgrades that need to be done to that facility. And we have asked them about making those upgrades to that facility that has not been done. And so when we first said we'd do a fire academy and we brought out the fire marshal to get the program running, we talked to them about it. They said they could do it. Then we come back, they said they can't do it. The district set aside $350,000 for the equipment on the anticipation that they will be able to set up that facility. And that was almost 3 or 4, maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
And is that amount of money, the amount of money that's there with the price changes and everything, would that really cover a lot of equipment?
Yeah, the money that we set aside will cover a lot of equipment, but also we have funding we can utilize for strong workforce. The key is that how can we maximize our dollars? Yeah, we probably could look at doing something with the city of Compton However, if we were looking at regionally and what's going to happen along the LA River, the LA River project and having a Compton footprint in that area, I think with long term would be beneficial to the district. But also too, all we need is a fire tower. You can offer classes within the city of Compton for individuals as relates to a fire academy and provide all the training at the strong workforce facility. You can offer a class for the fire for Compton individuals in Compton. The biggest issue is about having a facility for the training. And if we're asking the city of Compton for funding, we've been waiting for years. And from my perspective, we have to look at other options.
No, that's good, because that was going to be, I'm sorry, President Lopez. That was going to be my next question. How long do we have to wait for the city of Compton to get their finances together when the fire academy, to me, is very important? I say that because there are a lot of Black and brown men and women that would really like to join the fire department, whether it's Compton, Long Beach, LA, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? There are a lot of men and women, especially in this community, that would love to take those courses. So no disrespect to Compton, because I'm Compton. How long do we have to wait for them to get their act together when ours is already together?
And the question will be, from the board perspective, how long do we continue to put money aside for this, right? And so right now we have put money aside, but if based off of COVID-19 and where we're headed in the future, is this a priority versus doing another laptop program or paying for additional food as one time for our students? Now, I think that's some of the things that the board should think about as we move through the budget process, regards to, you know, what I got from today's conversation and maybe earlier as well, is about basic needs and making sure that we're providing laptops for our students, Wi-Fi for our students, food for our students. And I get the sense from the board that that is a high priority as we go through COVID-19. And maybe I'm wrong, but that's the assumption I got for some of the conversations.
No, I wouldn't really mind. I don't know how the other board members feel. I'm glad about the fire academy, but it's just like you say, with this COVID-19 and our students, just like the fire department thinks about them, we have to think about our students. So is it necessarily so, or can that money be used for something else for what our students need? And we just send a letter to the city of Compton, advising them, send it to the city manager. I'm not talking about right now, it depends on how everybody thinks about it, that, you know, we have had this money for yada, yada time. We have been trying to work with the city. Due to the COVID-19, there are things that our students need, and we will be reallocating this money for the use of our students in order for them to still be able to get their assignments, get a laptop, be able to graduate, and all that good stuff. I don't know how everybody else feel.
So Trustee Lopez, and one of the things that we've been trying to do, Board President Lopez, one of the things we've been trying to do in regards to the budget workshop is provide the board the opportunity to provide feedback. And if the board wants to provide direction to me to go back and look at our budget assumptions and really start to look at what we're using with our weekly balance, and maybe using some of our one time to address some COVID-19 issues for students, we can go back and look at that, because that's what the reserve is for. And if we want to look back to have additional items for our students regards to COVID-19 and basic needs, we can go back and look at our reserve and allocate some of those dollars. That's the wish of the board.
Okay, thank you, Board President. Thank you.
Trustee Lee, do you have any comments or questions?
No.
I wanted to talk about what I didn't see on here. I know that this is, we had slides on the state budget. We talked about the CARE Act money that we may have. Is that something that we will talk about in the future? I know we've talked about COVID budget spending. Is there any kind of breakdown that the board will also be provided to understand what needs have been met based on that budget and how we need to start allocating? I know that's been the ongoing conversation at the moment, especially with basic needs. And then also thinking outside the box, given that some of our students are family members. You know, we had our child care center and we had students there. And so thinking about what those additional needs may be, whether it's access to diapers or access to formula, just thinking of additional basic needs that our students may have. And then also thinking, I know technology has been a common theme mentioned, but in addition to the hotspots being provided by the league, is it something that the institution has looked into in our budget to provide additional assistance when it comes to hotspots?
We're purchasing 500 hotspots for our students. But I will say, we will come back at the next meeting. We're planning on talking about the CARES Act at the Planning and Budget Committee next week. We'll also talk about the CARES Act at our meeting in May for the board. And then we can also come back and revise our budget assumptions in regards to basic needs and take it into the comments that were made today.
And then also looking into, given that CARES Act has restricted the usage of those dollars to undocumented, for us not allowing us to use that money towards undocumented, how is it that we will need to allocate funding and through what revenue streams in order to be able to continue providing services to all our students?
Yeah, and I think we could look at that. Just gotta make sure we just gotta get some guidance on how to do that. But I think we should use, from my perspective, some of our ending balance to help pay for some basic needs for our students, or another fund that we possibly have for our students as well. But I can bring that back next month if that's the direction of the board.
Do you have any comments or questions, Dr. Curry?
No, I do not.
All right. Thank you very much for the presentation. We appreciate it. Moving on to item number 14, consent agenda. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Calhoun and seconded. I didn't catch that.
It was Sharani Little who moved and Trustee Calhoun seconded.
I thank you for the clarification. So Dr. Little has moved and it's been seconded by Trustee Calhoun. Do we have any discussion? This is consent agenda items number 14. So items 14.01 all the way through 14.28.
Is this the time when we pull?
Yes, this would be the time.
All right, when you call my name, I'll give it to you.
We are started. Dr. LeBlanc, do you have any items?
I do not.
Trustee Calhoun?
Yes, I do. You ready?
Yes.
1412, 1418, 1427. That's it.
Okay, moving on to Trustee Ramos. Do you have any items to discuss?
I think he's on mute. Or maybe he stepped away.
Oh, I meant 1421. And that's it.
Dr. Little, do you have any items?
1415 and 1421, I think Trustee Ramos has already identified, and yes, that's it.
Okay. Trustee Lee, do you have any items?
No.
And just to make sure, let me confirm that no one called the items that I had questions on. 14, and I'll pull 14, I'm saying discussion for 14.17. All right, I'm going to start in chronological order. Discussion for 14.12. It was Trustee Calhoun.
1412, the question was, oh, it was talking about the elections and the election and the cost and being prorated. And yes.
Can you elaborate? I know you said being prorated like after the fact, or in the 145 is allocated because that's the estimated cost of what the election would be?
Yes, I sent that question to Dr. Curry, And I have to apologize because I forgot to print out the answers that he gave me. So I'm trying to learn this stuff.
Dr. Curry, can you provide feedback?
So at the board meeting in January, January, February, the board, we presented a 5-year budget with estimated costs for the election. We sent an email to LA County, the election office, and asked them questions regards to the cost. They told us they give us a cost back sometime this summer. However, we have to develop a budget. So we took the costs from the fall of 2018 election, and what we did was we took that number, divided it by 4 to be able to get the cost for 1 seat. So we estimated about $71,000 to $72,000. So in the budget, we put $145,000 as an estimate for the election cost. It could be less, but that was the best way that we can try to predict what the cost might be, because the county would not be able to provide it to us till this coming summer.
It could be less, but is there a potential for it to be more?
I don't know. It's a potential, it could be more, but if you look at the previous election, that means we're basically went over by $4,000 for each seat. So we've got a cushion of about $8,000.
Trustee Calhoun, are your questions?
Yeah, that was the first one, but we had to go down the line. So thank you for that.
No problem. Moving on to 14.15, I want to say that was Dr. Little who brought that up.
Yes, I'm trying to pull it.
Can we go to?
It was a question about the MOU. And just a couple of things, Dr. Curry, in the MOU, it talks about, for example, the textbooks. Is that something that we, the district, are providing?
The Compton Unified School District pays for textbooks.
Okay, and then all of the fees that are waived, is that something, excuse me, that we eat, or is just something that we are going to pay on our end?
The state provides a portion of it for the students.
Right, okay. And then in terms of any other fees that we will receive, are there any other fees that we will receive from the school district?
Yeah, we actually have a contract with the school district right now to hire the enrollment specialists that are going to help us with dual enrollment. Their board approved it at their meeting in February or April and March, sorry. And so we're moving forward with hiring. So we have a 3-year contract for 2 staff, 1.5 staff to provide services for Compton Community College, with Compton Community College, with Compton Unified School District.
Okay, and that addresses the issue we had previously with Cerritos, and it precludes us from having to pay and them maintain.
Correct.
Is it an exclusive agreement with us?
Yeah, they have agreement with us regards to these positions, and we're excited about it. We meet with them on this coming Monday.
Thank you. That's it for that one.
All right, we are moving on to, oh, I apologize. We did not do 14.17, which was the one I brought up. I had a question on the purchase orders. We are approving a couple. So I have questions on the ones that are being approved from 2019 of October and November. And then we also have one under the section of general fund restricted for November 18 of 20. And we're not even in that month and we're being charged for it. So yeah, we can start off with the first, first 5 that are from 2019, just I guess why they took so long to come before us.
So from my understanding, I followed back up with staff and I was told that these were not paid. These were just appeals were issued on these dates, but they have not been paid. And in order for them to be paid, they'll be approved by the board at this meeting.
Okay, and then if we can go on to 01.1 under general fund restricted, it's listed as 11/18/20 for CDW Corporation.
I see that. I don't know what that is, so I will pull that item and bring it back next month.
I'll wait till it scrolls up so that the rest of the board members can see the whatever.
Actually, let me pull up the item right now. Just give me 1 second. Let me just look at the backup.
Oh, I see it.
will recommend we pull the item and I'll bring it back next month. Because I have a feeling that's a typo, but let me pull it and we bring it back.
So 192, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 1. So we will vote on 417 separately. Got it. Then we're moving on to 14.21. I want to say that was Trustee Ramos.
1418,
Oh, sorry, I apologize. 1418, that was Trustee Calhoun.
yes. Dr. Curry on 1418, is that banner?
Yeah, that is that is banner. And so that is one of the items. So the last couple of months I've been talking about that banners providing additional services for no cost to the district. We finally got the contract, and once we had the contract, I wanted to pick the board. So I signed off on it. So this is a no cost extension from February 1st to July 31st, provide staff to support our implementation of banner. And that is a no cost extension, doesn't cost the district, but it's just our update for them to provide those services.
Okay, did we have problems with banner at first?
Oh
No.
yeah, we had several issues with banner, which I've previously stated. And so the goal was based off of the issues. This is their additional support to get us through to finish the implementation,
Okay,
which we're very supportive of.
okay, thank you.
Will this end their $6 million contract though, or is it ongoing?
No, their contract does not end until March of 2023.
Woof.
And just
So will we be credited then for this extension if you're saying is of no cost?
Yeah, so the contract, so basically what it is, there's additional agreement that talks about their support regards to our implementation, which is a contract that has no cost to it. But our total cost for the banner is at $6.1 million. And that's just a 5-year cost. The 10-year cost is up to $9 million. And that's why in the budget assumptions, we set aside money for the ERP system. As you may recall, the state of California through the $11.3 million to provide the Compton College, a part of that 11.3 was the 6.1 for the ERP system.
So what exactly are we getting for free?
We're getting additional professional services of staff who are helping us regards to our implementation. With some, for example, we have an issue with National Clearinghouse to report our data. They've been working hand in hand with our staff and the system to be able to report to National Clearinghouse, which has been very helpful. We're the first college that is for community college that is on a cloud-based system. And so the transition has been difficult because we're cloud-based. And so we're working through those challenges. And they've been very helpful as well.
It's helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item 14.21. I want to say that was both Trustee Ramos and Dr. Little. Trustee Ramos?
Yeah, I just wanted more clarification what this is about and where's the student emergency aid coming from?
So basically what this allows us the opportunity to get aid out to our students a lot faster. And it's an algorithm that's provided, it's an app, but we're able to give up to $500 per student as it relates to ed equity. And so a lot of community colleges right now, based off of the funding with student equity and also based off of COVID-19, they'll be able to provide emergency grants. So this firm who we have been in touch with through our work with the Hope Center, and we include a board letter this month about this partnership, but it talks, and the board letter talks about how we're gonna be able to send out $500 to our students based off the algorithm. Elizabeth Martinez will provide more information as the vice president. Elizabeth?
I think she's muted.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi. Hello, Dr. Curry. I'm sorry, I stepped out to the restroom. I came back. Can you repeat the question?
The question was additional information in regards to ed equity.
Oh, for ed equity. We're working with ed equity now. We were testing to see if hello?
Yep.
Oh, so we are testing right now to be able to deploy grants to students. And so the goal is to be able to give $500 grants to students beginning of May, I believe. And so right now we're in a testing phase, and then we'll be able to deploy. So students would be able to sign up through an app or Ed Equity app. They could identify if the funds are for housing, for food, or I think there's 2 other options that I can't recollect right now. And they'll be able to get funds deposited electronically. And so that's what the goal is right now. So
And this is Trustee Lopez, and when would that launch? Or I know you just said testing phase.
I think this is a testing phase. I think it's the first week of May. And I can get back to you on the timeline. I might have written a board letter on it. Let me see.
I also had a question. I'm sorry. Go on, Trustee Ramos, you had a question.
Just quickly, are undocumented students able to apply for this also?
Yes.
Yes, any student that is a current student.
I had a question. So what is our target number of students or anticipated number? And as Trustee Ramos said, where is the funding coming from? And is there a cap on how much we expect to spend?
So let me go back to this. So we set aside, based off of legislation, we set aside money in our COVID-19 to be able to do some work on this, but we also have money in our student equity achievement. And so I'd rather use our student equity achievement dollars now before we use district dollars. But right now, to roll out, we set aside $90,000 to start with implementation, and then all that money will be spent this year.
But so the 90,000 is not for the app, it's for distribution to students?
This is all, yeah, it's for this, with this partnership and based off the contract, this money goes through them and they distribute the money directly to students.
So we're basically saying minus administrative fees, we're going to be able to provide around 170 students a $500 one time or one semester emergency grant. And it'll be, I think you all said it's going to be electronically. What if they don't have a bank account?
We have to work through that. I don't have the answer to that question at this time, but we will follow back up on that.
Okay.
I have a question.
Trustee Calhoun?
I thought this says to ensure it can make payments directly to students by April the 15th of 2020. Did I hear somebody say May?
Yeah, right now they're in the pilot phase. So when we signed the contract to move forward, they're in the pilot phase right now. So they have to set up the app for our students to be able to set this up. Then they have to pilot it to make sure it works, and then we can be able to distribute. And so they had a couple hiccups early on, but we're looking at, like Elizabeth Martinez said, by the first week of May to distribute money to the students.
Okay, so this should have been updated and let us know that, does it say pilot? Maybe I'm not reading it right. It say pilot?
No, our goal is to try to get it out by April 15th.
It's testing.
Right, I understand that. I don't see pilot. Did I see pilot in the
No,
background?
No, he said
no.
that there was a delay. So no, the updated date has not been changed. You're correct. So they
Oh.
can update that.
That language is based on what's in the contract, and we can make a change to this.
Ah,
I recommend, this is cutting edge, what we're doing with Ed Equity, and other community colleges are now trying to follow this. But the key to this is that there was legislation passed last year that you're allowed to use student equity and achievement dollars to provide direct aid to your students. So this is our response to that. Could we increase this amount? Yes, we could, based off what happens, but we don't know how many students are going to take advantage of it.
Okay, 2 things though. Who's going to maintain the accountability, and will this count against their financial aid dollars?
yes, good question.
Elizabeth?
So right now for accountability, all of the students that sign up for the app get verified by our team first. So they actually RSVP with us, and we get the list, and we work with Ed Equity, and we send Ed Equity a list
of all of our current and active students to ensure that they are in fact students and they are in fact current and active. Any grant or any financial aid that does get distributed to students does need to be reported to financial aid. So that is something that we need to do and we need to abide by.
No, I agree. I'm just asking if it shifts their award, then it'll cancel itself out. So I'm just trying to see, because I know at our institution, that's something that we're trying to make sure that if, of course, you have to, any monies that go to them, but I'm just trying to make sure that it's not going to in any way injure students, the same students we're trying to help.
Trustee Little, I hear you and I understand that. And but the thing about right now, what our students are dealing with, our students are needing money. And I think that, and the issue is we're trying to figure out, what's the solution to provide students money this semester as emergency aids and utilizing our student equity achievement dollars to support them. And we can possibly increase it as we move forward. But we're going to go through this process and we'll keep the board updated as we move forward. But this, to me, this is cutting edge in regards to how we move forward with our students providing emergency grant. And we can provide additional information to the board in regards to the number of students participating, demographics of the students who are participating, and what were some of the hiccups that might occur this spring semester.
I have a question. I'm sorry. I just got to piggyback on this.
Just let me confirm, Dr. Little didn't have a follow-up to his comment.
No, I just wanted to affirm that I totally agree. I'm in alignment with the values of it. And of course, many students need money. I'm just thinking about it from a procedural and a policy perspective.
Okay. Trustee Calhoun?
I want to piggyback on what Dr. Little said. Now, this is a pilot program. So that was a good question she asked about if the students, would this affect their financial aid? And so all this should be part of the pilot that should have been discussed. And also the other question that Dr. Little asked is, what if they don't have a checking or a bank account? How do they get the money then? All this should be in my opinion, I guess hers too, should be in the preliminary process where it all works out so that we know if this student gets $500, they know next year they're going to be less $500 from their financial aid. And if the student doesn't have a checking account or whatever, how do they get the money? All this should be in the preliminary stages and in the pilot part that this should have been discussed. That's all I want to say.
And we will follow back up regards to that question.
Those are very good. Those are very good questions because sort of related, but a side issue, because I heard this week that a lot of people who got that $1,200 stimulus, it was just an advance for next year's reimbursement. And that's actually in the bill, in the fine print that a lot of people didn't see.
Yep.
So.
And to follow up with that, I know with the ed equity, and we also consider our unified students, our students, is that something that's a service that's being extended to them? And also how will that impact their financial aid, given that some may currently be seniors and are anticipating assistance for the following year, and then some are juniors?
Vice President Martinez?
I think she's muted.
Hello?
Yes.
I think I'm gonna need to look into that to make sure, because right now what we're doing is just making sure that they're current and active students. We've tried to reduce the barriers as much as possible for our students to be able to get funds. Usually there's a whole lot more questions that we're asking, but given the circumstances and the urgency of the matter, at this point we are confirming whether or not they are current and active students.
But that also includes our unified, correct? Because I don't think we have them labeled any differently.
Yeah, right now we don't have them labeled any differently. So I have to look into that if we are. At this moment that I know of, we are not labeling those students any different.
And I know we talked about access to a bank. How does 14.20 help our students?
So 14.20, that's our Bank Mobile, regards to our disbursement of our financial aid. So we disperse financial aid through Bank Mobile. The students are able to get an account through Bank Mobile, and that's how they get their cash, their funding for financial aid through Bank Mobile.
And does that allow them to access additional funding? So if they needed to have access to the ed equity money as well, or is it only specifically for their financial aid?
This is specifically for their financial aid, but we can follow back up regards to that question. And I know that the ed equity probably have a solution to that. I don't know it off the top of the head, but I can be able to follow back up with the board.
And one final question, when you were asking about the unified, trustee President Lopez, you were talking about Compton Unified, correct?
Compton, Paramount, and Linwood, given that we have a partnership with all three of them.
Okay, and so it's not a question, but maybe just a consideration, Dr. Curry, that if students are receiving any of those emergency funds and it has to be reported, it may impact the parents' money. And so we just want to be careful about, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't know if under COVID they would be exempt, but I know, for example, if I'm claiming my kids and they get money, you don't want it to throw anybody's, DCFS. It's a lot of things that can get triggered if the kid is bringing home extra money. So that's why I'm super sensitive about it.
Okay.
Do we have any other questions on this matter before I? And then moving on to the next item, which was 14.27.
That's Trustee Calhoun. So I read 1427 page by page, every single page. So Board President Lopez.
Yes.
I have so many questions about this package.
Do you want to start one by one, given we have to give an opportunity for them to be responded and not be forgotten?
Do you know how this is? Let me tell you this. This is like
the 34 pages.
34 pages, right? So I have a question on practically every page. So for time constraint, because the questions that I have could possibly take a while, good while, I was wondering if the board would prefer that on 1427, we just pull it and I just discuss it with Dr. Curry, or which way would you ladies and gentlemen like to go? Because literally, I'm serious. I have a question on practically every page.
I think it's perfectly fine. If we pull it, we're unable to vote on it and accept their findings. And if there's questions that will address any concerns the audience has, they are able to view it. So by all means, continue with your 34 questions.
I'm trying. Okay, let's listen. First of all, this report is excellent. The Center for Urban Education. Oh my goodness, this report is excellent. It has touched every point that we as a board have discussed and talked to our CEO, Dr. Curry, about. We've all had questions about it. And I just want to say they did a great report. And I'm not going to do 34 pages. So let me go real fast.
Can I make one recommendation?
Yes.
Yes, because I was going to ask if we could approve it and still, she has time. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
all right.
The report tells us what we need to do. And the next meeting, we're going to talk about the action plan. So if I get all your questions, we probably can address those as relates to the action plan item. Because you said the report is good. If the report is good, I think my recommendation is the board accept the report and then let us come back regardless of how we're going to implement the report.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why I asked that question. You know, I always think about my other board members, and when
Well, thank you.
And I think it also would be good to have them in writing. And
Yeah.
I would encourage our other board members to also thoroughly read it and provide it so we can have an additional conversation and curate all those questions and make sure they get responded to.
But can we clarify that Trustee Calhoun, you don't have questions about accepting it, you more have questions about the implementation or clarification, correct?
that's correct.
Okay, so because you have every right, if you question it, to approve, I mean, you have every right either way, but
Right.
just to be clear that you are understanding as to what you are agreeing to.
Oh, yes, yes. I love this report. I love this report. And,
Okay.
and so I don't mind it being approved. I just wanted to give you, ladies and gentlemen, the opportunity to know that I had questions, but this is
You have the floor for all 34.
no, it's okay.
Yes,
Because
I think it's great.
I agree with this report.
Okay, so now we gotta make a motion, President.
So we are going to, we're currently in discussion. The motion is to pull 14.17. We need to make a removal in that document for item 19200000541 to be removed. And so we'll vote on 14.17 differently.
Okay.
So if we have no further discussion.
Wait, I do. 1421, what are we doing with that?
Oh, she didn't come to you.
14.
I recommend, the regards to equity, I recommend approval, and I'll come back to the board with some responses to the questions. The key for us is make sure we're able to get our aid to our students right now in need, but I have the questions from the day and I will follow back up and respond to those questions, but I recommend approval for 14.21.
So at the moment, we are voting on 14.01 all the way to 14.16, 14.18 all the way to 14.28.
That is correct.
That's correct. Yes.
Do I have a motion?
So
Oh, we are in the motion, sorry.
Motion.
Ms. Paula, can you call the question? I apologize.
That's fine. Trustee Calhoun,
Aye. Yes. Yes.
Trustee LeBlanc,
Aye.
Trustee Ramos,
aye.
Trustee Little,
Aye.
Trustee Lee,
Aye.
Trustee Lopez.
Aye.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion to approve item 14.17, including the edits of removing item 19200000541?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Dr. LeBlanc and seconded by Trustee Calhoun. Do we have any further discussion on this item? Ms. Paula?
Trustee Calhoun,
Aye. Yes.
Dr. LeBlanc,
Aye.
Dr. Little,
Aye.
Trustee Ramos,
Aye.
Trustee Lee,
Aye.
Trustee Lopez.
Aye.
Thank you.
Before moving to item 14, if the trustees will indulge, I believe our ASB president, Nathan, is able to give up his report. So if we don't have a problem before moving on to item 15, if he can give his report before he excuses himself.
Was that?
Hello.
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 Hi, Nathan.
Okay. Sorry for the inconvenience earlier. I've got my mic working now, obviously. ASB is currently working on creating a statement that just shows support and solidarity with our student body. We are looking into ways we can engage with our fellow students through fun activities such as Zoom, movie nights, trivia, and open mic nights. We've seen other campuses kind of do this, like El Camino College. Personally, I've seen El Camino do it. Their ASB So Compton is looking to try to join in on the fun. In addition to this, we are currently in an early stage of building a social media presence through an official Instagram that is run by our student life coordinator, Christopher Perez. We've seen that social media is an effective way to keep students informed and engaged, especially now with everything going on. And finally, we are updating our webpage on the EDU website. We can include student resources, important campus messages, and the ASB 2020-2021 election information. Seeing how we usually do that in person, we're trying to work on ways that we can do that online so people can maybe submit their ASB applications to an online destination, get it reviewed, and try to conduct all of that online. And so it's kind of easy for the new group of ASB members for the 2020-2021 semester to get the ball rolling, so to speak. So this is all I have for right now. Thank you for your time, and I hope everyone stays safe through all this. Thanks for all that you guys do for us, for the students. To speaking personally, I really appreciate how hard you guys are working to make sure that students like me and other people have what we need during this during this crazy time that we didn't know was going to hit us. So just on behalf of ASB, thank you. Just listening to how you guys talk today, thank you for everything.
Thank you so much for staying and being patient while we made sure that you were able to jump on. All right, I'm going to move to item 15, action items. Item 15.01, administrative services, contracts over 95,200 for every table. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved by Dr. Little and it's been seconded by Trustee Ramos. Do we have any discussion?
Sorry, that was Dr. LeBlanc.
That was the
Sorry.
LeBlanc. That was the other one.
The other AKA, the other
That's
Dr.
right.
L.
Okay. Other Sora.
Apologize. Dr. LeBlanc.
Yes, what can I say?
Do we have any discussion on this item? I'm gonna go the roll call. Dr. LeBlanc?
Aye.
No, do you have any questions or comments on?
I do not.
Okay. Trustee Calhoun?
No.
Trustee Ramos?
No.
Dr. Little?
None.
Trustee Lee?
I want to know, how do every table works? Like every tables. How do that work?
Specifically for this contract, or are you referencing a different service that they provide to our students?
Both.
Dr. Curry?
We're doing, so one, I recommend approval for this item. As you know that, and we provide a board letter regards to it, we have our current cafeteria contract expires on June 30th, 2020. Went out to bid. This is the second time we went out to bid. We received 3 vendors. We've been doing a lot of work with every table, but this is a way for us to be able to provide healthy meals options for our students and also our employees throughout the day. And it also gives us more access to every table by them being on our campus. This will basically they'll be operating our cafeteria for our students throughout the day and also for our employees. And they're going to change it around from a cafeteria, but more so to like a store, similar to how they offer services in the city of Compton. Right now, we're also doing partnership with every table. We're doing 150 meals that are being delivered to students this day through Friday for our meal program. And then also students are able to go through every table to get 30 meals. We have 30 meals a day where students can pick up by showing their ID or showing their class schedule with their college, with their personal.
Trustee Lee, did that answer your questions?
Yes,
Do you have any other questions?
that's it.
All right. Do you have any additional comments, Dr. Curry?
No, I do not.
All right, Ms. Paula?
Trustee Calhoun,
Aye.
Dr. LeBlanc,
Aye.
Dr. Little,
Aye.
Trustee Ramos,
Aye.
Trustee Lee,
Aye.
Trustee Lopez.
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 13.02, 2020-2021 budget presentation. Oh, actually, I apologize. I'm on the wrong slide. 16.02, AB 705, Seymour Campbell, Student Success Act of 2012, Matriculation Assessment Implementation Update.
Did you do 16?
I
No.
am on the wrong, I apologize again, I'm reading the wrong
No,
thing. We are on item 15.02, resolution number 0421 2020B, budget transfers on mutations for fiscal year 2019-2020. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved by Trustee Calhoun, seconded by Dr. LeBlanc. Do we have any discussion on this item?
Nope.
I'm going to start off with Trustee LeBlanc. Any questions?
No, it's a standard doc.
Trustee Calhoun,
No.
Trustee Ramos,
No.
Dr. Little,
No.
Trustee Lee.
No.
Any comments from you, Dr. Curry?
No.
All right. Ms. Paula?
Trustee Lee,
Aye.
Trustee Ramos,
Aye.
Dr. Little,
Aye.
Dr. LeBlanc,
Aye.
Trustee Calhoun,
Aye.
Trustee Lopez.
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving on to discussion and action items 16.01, 2020-2021 Compton College goals. Dr. Curry?
Yeah, so I mentioned this earlier regards to the goals for the 2020-2021 year and to be able to, for the board to provide input. I think these are some good goals and also what we try to accomplish for next year. And so the board has questions or comments, how they want regards to the goals, please let me know. But the goals are very clear about what we want to get done for this year. If you look at the 19-20 goals, which are on the board as information items, these are our goals for 2021. One of the major things you see out the gate is our partnership with Achieving the Dream to utilize them for our professional development. Number 1B talks about building, increasing capacity for our faculty in regards to online and remote instruction and strengthening our distance education program. Also enhancing our online student support services. We talked about our university design to ensure that those activities are implemented. They actually want to make it a campus-wide committee relates to the university design. Continue the implementation of our guided pathways work at Compton College. Also the work is AB 705. Make sure we coordinate our activities related to student-centered funding formula. And then number 1H is enhance our basic needs resources, looking at housing, food, mental health, technology, and transportation. If we look at, when we talk about basic needs, we're really focusing in on the technology and also transportation, because they have never been included. Also, implementation of the cooperative work experience plan. The board approved that this evening, which is a part of request from the chancellor's office. Item number 2 is regards to enrollment, which I went over earlier. Item number 3 is about our accreditation and our accreditation efforts to ensure those items are completed. Item 4, I went over earlier regards to our facilities, ensure we meet the needs of our facilities. But item 4E and F are also important to make sure we're prioritizing our scheduled maintenance and our site improvements each year, and also being our responsiveness to our day-to-day facilities needs. Item 5 is as it relates to our partnerships. As you can see with our board agenda tonight, item 5B regards to dual enrollment. Ensuring our partnership with our K-12 district, item 5D regards to dual enrollment. You see that we're doing dual enrollment, 5E, regards to dual enrollment with our partner schools districts. We have all 3 partner districts with AB 288 agreements for next year. That's the first time that has ever happened. It started with Common Unified, then with Paramount, now we have Linwood as well. We're also looking at our Promise program. as a race to section 5. And then number 6 is the sense of connection and belonging with our employees, which I went over earlier. And that a real focus of that for us is professional development. I think these are strong goals for the district, and hopefully the board supports it.
All right, Trustee LeBlanc, do you have any questions or comments? Trustee Calhoun?
Yes. Dr. Curry, does the 1601, does that also have to do with the 2021 goals that you said if I had questions, I can ask it later?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, so these are my questions. I know we always talk about recruitment. Recruitment is very, very essential for our college and any college. And I know that we have the COVID-19 that's going on, and it would be hard to recruit. But I don't know how to access now since we got COVID-19. What are the outreach responsibilities? Are we just maintaining with the high schools? Or are we sending emails out to prior students, to the community? That's one question.
Can I answer that first and then go to the next one? Is that okay?
You surely can.
So one of the things that we're going to be doing differently is we're going to go and we're going to be sending out our class schedule to all of the residents for the summer and also the fall. We also have a new partnership through our strong workforce where there's a referral system for individuals based off of hits. And we're documenting that new process to be able to follow up with students who are interested in strong workforce. And also another board member recommended today that we look at a specialized program regards to the unemployment and utilizing some of our CARES dollars or some of our district funds to provide free college for students that are for individuals who are unemployed to come back to school and put a cap on it for 2 or 3 years. And so that's one of these we're going to look at as a new initiative based off conversation that I had today with board. But I feel that we're at now with our enrollment management plan will be completed next month, but also looking at mailing the class schedule. The thing about it, we have to get the information to the students to their home.
Right. And so I want to talk about the seniors for a second. A lot of our seniors are not just like me.
Clarify if you mean high school seniors or
Senior residents. I'm sorry, thank you. So a lot of our residents, especially the seniors, are not up on Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is, even doing Zoom. Is there any thought into adopting or getting classes for seniors that will help them be better able to take computer classes or learn all this stuff from our college, since all this is going on and we don't know how long this COVID-19 is going to take? I think it's just a disproportionate. You guys know I'm taking.
I had that type of conversation. We could talk to staff about it. But my thing right now, if you look at the funding formula, based off your funding, you're advantageous to really focus in on the high school students, but also with this unemployment. As I mentioned to some board members when I was sending out the report that institutional research has done, it's just effective, what institutional effectiveness has done, we're really monitoring unemployment. And I think that's going to be a big boost for the college, is how do we work with those individuals coming from who are unemployed, right? And then who are coming back to school, and then what type of caseworkers you provide for them, what type of partnerships you have with LA County, provide resources for them as they try to get back into the work field. So I think that's one avenue, but we can also look at other avenues in regards to seniors. But the way the funding formula is set up and the way the vision for success and the alignment with the vision for success is all about student completion. It's about having students complete and who transition to a job or to a four-year college or university. And that's where the funding has changed in California community colleges over the last 5 years, especially with the focus on guided pathways. But we can look at some new activities for seniors as well.
Yeah, two other things. Well, maybe you know how we partner up, but we don't pay the people. That these are people that will probably come on our campus and train the seniors on computers or whatever, and they bring their phones or whatever. If they have a laptop, they bring their own. But this might be a nonprofit or whatever where we don't have to pay them any money, and they come show the seniors, is after all this COVID stuff, exactly how to use their phone, a laptop or whatever, and how to do Facebook and stuff like that.
It could be a contract as well, but let me talk to my workforce development people and see what that looks like, but we can take that back.
Okay, now on the 2020, 2021 goals, the one that Stephen talked about on page 4, item number 6. This is under the goals, under the thing that Stephen was talking about. And item number 6 says, create a stronger sense of connection among employees, students, and the college. It's on this one, Dr. Curry.
Yeah, 4D, 60, sorry.
No, she's talking about the president. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, I got it, sorry.
Okay, so it talks about create a stronger sense of connection among employees, students, and the college. Are we leaving the community out? Because we need to, just let me finish.
Okay, I switched in, okay.
Just let me finish. Yeah, the bucks. Item number 6, right there. Okay. I know this is all about our students. I got that. But it's also.
Jessica, can you hold on? There's an echo.
It's not me. It's me.
Can we mute everyone?
It's somebody's.
Wasn't me, I was already muted.
Who's backwards? You okay?
Okay, I don't know what that noise was. If it was me, I apologize.
No, you're good.
Okay, so where it says create a stronger sense of connection among employees, students, and the college. Okay, the college is in a bedrock community of community, you know, and so there's always saying, even when I talk to some of the residents in Compton, they always say it's a disconnect between the college and the community. And so I know this doesn't have a lot to do with the community, but it does. So how can we put something in there or add the community? Because we need to have a connection with the community and more of them. And maybe we could get more of them to come to our college. But if we keep, just like this report that the urban, you know, they did, it's saying the same thing. We're still leaving out the community, which is a big part that helped fought to bring Compton College to get an accreditation back. So I'm just saying we continue to leave out the community unless I'm missing something.
No, I think it's an excellent point. We need to insert that word in there.
I have no issues with that recommendation. If you look at the goals for number 6A through 6G, we talk about community, there all is a change that says create a sense of connection among employees, students, and the college, students, the employees, students, the college, and the community. I see no issues with that. It's an action item. If the board wants to make that recommended change, we make that recommended change and we change it.
Okay. Well, I do. I don't know how the other board members feel.
And can we elaborate on what that wording would look like? Because that way it needs to be added.
Just inserting the word, have that as the last word. Move out the and, put the comma, and then when you get to your last word, go and community.
I would approve for that inclusion.
Dr. Curry, do you have those notes?
Yep, I have it.
Okay.
So you'll bring those back up in the next board meeting, right? Because this is just a discussion.
No, it's a discussion / action. The board can approve the goals and then with the one recommended change.
Okay.
Thank you. So do we need a new motion or it's just that it's the same motion with the
We need to actually do a motion because we started off as a discussion.
Okay.
Okay, because basically we're just changing the structure of that one sentence to say, create a stronger sense of connection among employees, comma, students, comma, college, and the community.
Yep.
Yeah, he just got to put college back in there.
you want to have 4 things then? Employees, students, college, and community.
Yes.
All right, so the motion we have is to accept this document with the edits on number 6, a title to state, create a stronger sense of connection among employees, comma, students, comma, college, comma, and the community.
Yes.
Yes, as noted in the chat, yes.
Yes.
That was a motion.
I move.
Second.
So it's been moved by Dr. Little and seconded by Trustee Calhoun. I want to say we don't have any further discussion on this item. All right. Ms. Paula, can you call the vote that we're accepting this document?
They can't hear you, Paula.
Is she muted? Is her phone muted? I think it may have was the one making noise. Somebody may have muted it.
No.
Well, maybe she stepped away.
No, she's there. Just one second.
Yeah, she's there. She's asking, can we hear her?
No, you can't hear.
I think it's muted. Now it's unmuted.
Give me 1 second.
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Aye.
She's too close to Dr. Curry.
Yeah, there's something going on, but it's an eye from the block.
It's not.
She's too close to Dr. Curry or someone else. It's too Paula Van, she's on a university phone and then I see a Paula Van Brown. So her cell phone may be on. One of those has to hang up.
She's in my office.
That's why. It's something too close.
No, there was another, the number for the 900 number for the college was on, and that's the number that's not working.
Okay.
Okay.
Ms. Paula's gonna, can you start over, please?
Maybe we just all say aye. Miss Paula, it's an aye to this.
Can everyone hear me?
Now we can hear you.
Okay. Let me help out a little bit. Trustee Calhoun voted yes. Dr. LeBlanc?
Yes.
Dr. Little?
Yes.
Trustee Ramos?
Aye.
Board President Lopez?
Aye.
Student Trustee Lee?
Aye.
All right, moving on to item number 16.02, AB 7005, Seymour Campbell Student Success Act of 2012, Matriculation Assessment Implementation Update. Dr. Curry?
Yes, I just want to provide an update. Last month, we had this on the board agenda, and I wanted to make sure I share this information as well with the board. So AB 705, these are notes from the faculty meetings for March. And if you look at the meetings, you get some information.
It's going in and out.
So I met with the faculty from English and also in math prior to COVID-19. And we looked at the data, and also we talked about some different strategies in those meetings. And so I've had follow-up meetings with the division chairs also for English and math. And based off of the follow-up meetings and the conversations, we're gonna look at some new strategies in regards to community of practice for faculty who are teaching English and math will be part of a community of practice regards to professional development, meeting every week, regards to transfer level English and also transfer level math. We also agree regards to the co-requisites for the transfer level English and math will be eliminated within 5 years and really start to focus in on what's happening inside the classroom. The English program came up with some recommendations regards to co-teaching of some of our English courses. We're gonna pilot that program this fall for transfer level English. And then also we're gonna pilot the program in our transfer level math course as well. We're also looking at some other strategies in English regards to reducing the class size for our transfer level English to about 23 students versus 30, and to see will that make a difference. So now we're gonna really start focusing in on what's happening inside the classroom and providing professional development and support for the faculty members who are teaching those classes. The faculty they know our data. The meeting for English went very well. From my perspective, we talked a lot about data, but we also talked about strategies, and I felt really good about that and where we're headed. The next issue that we have to deal with regards to AB 705 is really looking at our English as a second language and how do we provide that service for our students as we move forward, especially since our curriculum right now for ESL is outdated, and looking at how do we reduce the number of courses for students to receive certificates, but also how do we get those students who are from who are in the ESL program into the CTE ESL program, which one of our faculty members is working on that as we move forward. But I think we're making some strides with AB 705, but there's still some more work that needs to be done, but I'm excited about the work that's gonna be done in the fall. Another piece that's happening from our meeting is that we're looking at the accessibility 1 and 2 to make sure those classrooms are flipped classrooms, but also making sure that the faculty have the tools in those classrooms to be able to change the way they provide instruction. Looking at having whiteboards throughout the classroom, also looking at the desks being whiteboards for students as well. So we're looking at that, and that's my next meeting within the next week. We're talking about that with the construction. But I'm really excited about the work that's being done in regards to AB 705. Is there any questions?
So Trustee LeBlanc, do you have any questions or comments? Sorry, I don't see her, so let me move her. Where's she at? Oh, okay, got it. Trustee Cajon?
No.
Trustee Ramos?
No.
Trustee, Dr. Little?
No.
Trustee Lee?
No.
Thank you so much, Dr. Curry. Moving on to 17.01, the Kreski Foundation Compton College Grant Award.
Yes, how do you want me to go through the board policies?
Is there any changes from the last time we had this conversation?
Yeah, so there's 2 board policies that are brought up. One was the Trustee Ramos asked questions about board policy 2725. So I need direction from the board.
We're on grants right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Grants we're recommending approval for the acceptance of the Kreski grant for $112,000 for the college, and that supports our participation in Achieving the Dream. And then 17.02 is the information item regards to a grant that we're applying for with Cal State University Dominguez Hills as relates to physics. So I recommend approval of 17.01.
Board members, do you have any questions?
No.
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 This is under grant items, not necessarily under action. So are you stating that we need to?
So item 17.01 is actually an action item under the grants, and 17.02 based off the board policy is an information item, but it is a grant. So what we did was we put 17.01, which is the action. So we're requesting the board take action to accept the grant, and then 17.02 is the information item.
All right, so the motion for 17.01 is to accept the Kreski Foundation Grant Award. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
That was, so it's been moved by trustee Cajon, seconded by Dr. Little. Do we have any discussion? Ms. Paula?
She doesn't have her sound again, so let me. Right now.
Can she try now?
Can you hear me now?
You gotta turn herself on.
And the call is muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Dr. Curry,
I think he's gonna end up doing the call right now.
wait a minute. Heather. Heather? Can Heather hear me?
She might be on mute. Dr. Curry, can you do the call for Ms. Paula?
Yeah, but I gotta figure it out, but let me just do the roll call. So trustee Calhoun,
Yes.
Dr. LeBlanc,
Aye.
Dr. Little,
Aye.
trustee Ramos,
Aye.
trustee Lopez,
Aye.
trustee Lee.
Aye.
So I have a question, Ms. Lopez, Chair.
Yes.
Are we being recorded since she's having an issue with her?
We're recording the whole meeting.
Yeah, we're recording. The whole thing is recorded.
It's under Dr. Curry's account as a host.
I got you. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. So we, you said 17.02 did not require an action item from us, correct?
Right.
All right, moving on to item number 18, board policies and administrative regulations. Dr. Curry. We cannot hear you, so if you can speak.
You hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so now we're at the board policies, which I thought we were at earlier. Okay, so item 18.01 and 18.02 were issues that I brought forward before, but 18.02 was brought up by trustee Ramos regards to board compensation. And so I provided the information for 18.02 as requested, and I'm just requesting direction from the board regards to the compensation if you would like to change it.
Well,
Let me go before, I know it was your motion, so I'll start off with you. So then I'll give all the rest of the trustees an opportunity to speak on this matter as well. Trustee Ramos?
well, I wanted to move forward with changing the policy to give the Compton College Board of Trustees health benefits.
Okay. Is that the only comment you have before I move on to the other trustees?
Well, I mean, just information that I provided before, and it's listed right there. 63 colleges in 2018 have it, 4 have partial, and 4 do not. We're one of the 4.
Wow.
So I think it's long overdue. And I think this will help attract more people running for these positions also.
Okay. Dr. LeBlanc, do you have any comments or questions?
I was not aware of the stats. Thank you so much, Trustee Ramos, for bringing it to our attention. I think we should have everything that the majority of districts have.
I think in this situation, Dr. Curry is looking for direction. So if there's any additional type of compensation that we're referencing, in addition to health benefits, we should probably be explicit here in order for us to be able to give him direction on what he needs to come before us.
Oh, I'm done. That was my comment. Thank you.
Trustee Cajon?
I was trying to hear Dr. LeBlanc. You were
She-
saying that.
We concurred with Dr. Ramos and appreciated the stats that were.
Dr. Ramos. Woo,
Sorry,
gone,
Dr. Ramos.
Woo, gone. It's the second time he got called doctor tonight. Prophecy.
Trustee Ramos. Trustee
Ooh, I
Ramos.
like doctor. Got the.
I'm sure he
beard and
does too,
everything.
but he needs.
I like doctor also. Hey.
Yeah.
So I think her comment, Dr. LeBlanc's comment was whatever is offered to all the other colleges,
We want.
we
That was my
want.
specific direction.
Right, not just medical. You're talking about everything that's offered to the other
Yeah.
colleges.
Yes.
Okay, I'm in agreement with that. So we're not just talking about health benefits.
That's correct.
We're talking about everything else that was
Yes.
offered. If anybody read it, it was like, I said, huh? I said,
Yeah,
okay.
there's quite a bit. So whatever's being offered to whatever the maximum is that can be offered, we want it.
All right, Dr. Little, do you have any comments?
Oh, I just wanted clarification at some point. I've read throughout the entire document, and then we would get a cost and where that funding would come from. So we're talking about health benefits, cell phones. We already get a preferred parking. I don't know what else would be included in that, but whatever it is, it'll be itemized and we'll know where the money's coming from, correct?
Yeah, so it basically will come from, this is Dr. Curry, basically will come from general funds. So for the health benefits, what we provide the employees, it will be basically $12,000 multiplied by 5.
So Dr. Curry, the direction that I'm hearing from all the board members is a universal access to the compensation that other board trustee members receive on other district boards.
And let me just say, and that trustee then would be given the option of accepting or rejecting it, but that it would be something that would be available.
Yeah.
Because some trustees are not going to need it, but it should be an option that is available.
It has to be budgeted for. So you're basically looking at, see, because it can't be more than what the employees receive.
Right.
So you're looking at $12,000 times 5.
That's all.
60,000.
And if denied, it would just go back into the general operating budget, or you would just maintain it as a fund?
You know, every year we have to budget $60,000. And then what we have to do as well is we have to update our budget assumptions and add that to the budget. But that's the direction of the board.
Right. That is correct.
And we're just talking about health benefits, and just to be clear, because I heard everything else that's stated in there. So can we just be clear as to what we're talking about for sure?
So I have not done research regards to how many districts receive cell phones. The parking piece is making available. The cell phone piece, I think the board should really think about that as we move forward. If that's a need of the board to have district cell phones and how much work is provided, because we do provide laptops for board members. Yeah. So I don't know if the cell phones is something that the board would like to consider, but I think we need to cost that out. But for what I can do for the board policy is include something in regards to 12,000, not to exceed 12,000 for board members. They can decline to receive it, but that'd be a part of an option as it relates to compensation, and make a statement in the board compensation board policy.
Yes, and Dr. Curry, is it possible that it can be in the form of a Visa health card?
No, because it basically, they have to sign up for the policy the district provides.
Oh,
so under our district policy.
Okay, because that is that's the way our health is set up. We have a Visa card in a certain amount, and then you're able to use that towards your health benefits.
So we're on CalPERS, and so I need to follow up regards to how does it work with CalPERS. And so since I know the direction of the board, let me go back and fix the policy and then talk about how we implement this. There's a lot of questions I have that we have to call with CalPERS and how will that work. And so I don't know the answers to that, but I do know that the key is the board to provide direction, and at the next board meeting, approve the updated policy regards to health benefits. and then we could talk about the implementation at a later meeting.
Okay,
I think we should just clarify it's just health benefits. That's all we're
that
trying.
is correct.
That's it. Yeah.
So that's two different directions, because I think everybody said all benefits.
No, that's what I'm saying. We're clarifying it right now, just health benefits. That's why I was asking in the parking.
I think that's everybody says yes, and some people are saying no. I think they
Yes.
want all the benefits, and then individually people can either deny or accept what benefits they want to move forward with.
That is correct.
That is correct.
What does all include? That's all I'm trying to get delineated then.
That's what he'll let us know, whatever all is.
So the only thing extra that you can look at is regards to district cell phones. And we have to cost that out and what that would look like. And I just don't know regards to the district cell phones and what that cost would be for 5 additional phones. I don't know.
I'd like to modify the all.
Thank you. There we go. So now we're ready to go.
Yeah, let's modify the all and take away the cell phones. We don't want to get into that.
I mean, given that this data, because this information could be brought up, he's looking at data, so he can give us a number regardless. And at the end of the day, it's an option that individuals can choose to deny or accept.
Is why I started with all.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I agree with all, and then there's left up to the individual board member what he or she wants.
There you go.
Dr. Curry, I do have a
It's a
question.
buffet. It's a buffet.
Yeah. Dr. Curry, I do have a question about CalPERS now. I retired from CalPERS, so I don't have their health insurance. Would this affect me now?
It could. So I have to look into it. So the key first is I got to understand the policy and the changes. Then once I have that, I can be able to figure out next steps.
Okay, because I didn't accept CalPERS health plan.
And we can talk about how individual, depending on his research and how we can move forward on individual situations, most definitely.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Dr. Curry, do you need any further explanation on the directive of the board?
I got it. I researched I know the health benefits piece, but we also researched the costs for the cell phones. And from this conversation, the board is asking for the policy for compensation to include that they'll be issued a district cell phone, and also we'll also have the option for health benefits.
Someone mentioned parking on there, and I don't know if that was, someone said, I don't know if that's also needs to be included.
Parking where?
I don't know. Someone mentioned parking.
It's in the document, but he said it's already provided for us when we come, but it's in the document. That's why I was asking.
Right.
My concern with preferred parking right now, as you go through construction, we just lost the spaces in Lot D. And so right now we're trying to have parking spaces, but for board meetings, we can make sure there's a space available. Somebody comes to meet with me, you can always park at CEO 2. But right now, we're crunched for spaces for parking. But if the board wants parking, we'll figure that out. But
so how about moving forward, once that lot is reopened, the board members can have their designated by area and not necessarily by name.
I understand that, but you're asking for us to take for 5 parking spaces, when could we have a couple spaces for board and also have spaces for if board members are not here? But it's up to the board.
I don't care where I park.
Yeah. It was mentioned. All right.
So I have a question. So you're talking about 5 parking spots for the board members. Are you talking about after all these buildings are built, or are you talking about now?
I meant after all buildings are built.
Okay.
The allocation, not necessarily at the moment, given that there's some removed. That's for the future. Once it's being allocated, there is about 30 on the D side. So 5 of those would be allocated or designated, just like some are designated for his cabinet.
Okay. Always park in front. Does that mean I can't, whenever that goes through, or if it goes through, that means I can no longer park in front right outside the building?
Let's cross that bridge when we actually have the bridge built.
Okay.
Any other discussion on this topic? Do we have any other items to discuss on 18 that we need provide clarification or direction to Dr. Curry?
Is this any of the board policy?
These are the board policies in 18.
So you ask an individual, because I do have something.
Yes, which one would you like to bring up?
1813
Let's start off with that.
and 1819. Oh, and 1826, just those three. But somebody else might have other stuff.
We'll start off with those three, Trustee Calhoun.
Okay, under 1813, if everybody is right there on the screen, just my opinion. I think it needs to have more teeth in it about commitment to diversity, because the package that the urban, you don't have to have everything that they had in there, but the package that they did on Compton faculty and administrative hiring thing, what we went over, they talked about diversity in there, and also in the one that the other doctor did. I just think it needs to be a little bit more teeth. And Dr. Curry told me that he would relook at the policy.
I think the policy, oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Madam President?
Yes, that would go for it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think the policy is clear enough. It's just, the policy is just to give us a broad direction. An example of what we had tonight when we had the USC group, that's more of a result of the policy. So it's more of an action item. So I don't think you want to get real specific in basically saying that we are committed to diversity, because diversity in and of itself is just a celebration of differences. And so we don't want to get too specific about how we're going to celebrate those differences and how we're going to promote those, that camaraderie. I think that if you keep it general, you have enough room to develop programs and direction from.
Okay, I know that that on our college, even though we're not doing anything now, that they always have different programs. They have something out on the quad. Different ethnicities have something on the quad, whether it's Latin America, African American, Samoan. You know, they always have events for during their month and stuff like that. So that is the only reason I was talking about more teeth, just that, like that. That's all. Not like making it 4 paragraphs long.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because well, the things that are going out on the lawn, out on those are programs. This is just a policy. So that with this policy, we can develop many broad programs, and you just refer it back to the policy that we have adopted.
Okay, because this just have to do with the employees. That's what you're trying to get me to look at. Let the light bulb go off.
Well, this is not just the employees. This is the administrators, faculty, staff.
Right. Okay. The light bulb just went off. No, the light bulb just came on. I'm
all right. As long as there's light.
Okay. See.
Amen for the light.
Right. That's why I'm glad that we talk these things over from a different perspective. Yeah. And I thank you for that. So the light bulb just went off. It clarified it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
The next one was 18.19.
Wait, I'm sorry. I had a question about the one we just left, if I may.
Of course. Sorry, I can't see your face.
Just for clarification, it does read, I agree with Dr. LeBlanc that we need a general, but it does read as if it's around employment. If it's not just around employment, I would like to have some kind of language that speaks to an inclusive climate and environment, a sense of belonging for students, because a commitment to diversity can merely represent representation and not experience. And so I do think if this is our board policy, that we definitely need to have it a commitment to diversity and inclusion, and something around the environment.
Okay, now
I would, just to clarify, Dr. Curry, can you elaborate if we do have the policy Dr. Little just was referencing?
Yeah, we can, it's included, some of it's included in our mission statement, but I hear the comments. We can make some modifications to this to make sure that's more inclusive for our students. I don't have no problem with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. And then you'll bring that back to us with an updated kind of.
Right.
I'll bring it back next month with the changes.
Okay. Got it.
Right.
18.19.
Right. I read the whole thing about the whistleblower, and I read all the rules and regulations. I was just wondering about the whistleblower that possibly does not want to start off at the college, because they may not, just saying, they may not trust the process or the person that they go talk to. So I was just wondering if it's okay with somebody that's a whistleblower that they can go straight to an attorney if they don't feel comfortable talking to the college. I'm just.
And who's paying?
Anybody can go to attorney and with any issues in regards to the district, and we have to deal with it. As I talked to Trustee Calhoun about this earlier this week, we can't stop someone from going to the attorney and coming back from an attorney to be a whistleblower. But the goal is that someone will not be retaliated against for being a whistleblower for something they feel that's inappropriate.
Right. Good.
And Sonia, I have one more. I'm sorry.
One more question or one more item to add?
One. Did I give you 1822?
You gave me 1826 as the next one.
Oh, under 1822, there's, if Dr. Curry can pull it up. I was so glad I asked this question. 1822 had to deal with, the child abuse reporting. And so I did ask Dr. Curry that question about the procedures be established. And one of the things that Dr. Curry, I'll let him answer it on what he said.
The response was that we should create an AR to talk about our process for child abuse reporting and make it a ministerial regulation.
How does anybody else feel about that?
I think anything that we need to have that would provide us more coverage in the sense of covering is great. Because we're mandatory. Aren't some of you all mandatory reporters?
Every board member is a mandatory reporter.
Yeah.
But I'm saying from your staff, Dr. Curry.
Yes, yeah, all our staff are mandatory reporters, yes.
Right, so
what I'm saying is that we're gonna, yes, you're right. But with the child abuse reporting, we're gonna based off the conversation with that I had with Trustee Calhoun, is we're gonna create the ministerial regulation. We talk about the training that they're supposed to participate in, but then also about the procedures for reporting.
Great.
We'll make it a ministerial regulation.
That's good. And it can go in everybody's handbooks.
But it's a board policy and a board administrative regulation.
All right.
Correct.
I agree.
Okay, thank you. And 1826. I really had to ask a question about 1826. So Dr. Curry clarified it for me. So no more dinners for me?
Oh, yes. Oh.
No, I mean, because I questioned him about the $50.
Yes.
And I know that every city does something different, but I know that the city of Compton, their amount is almost like $340 or $480. And so I was trying to ask Dr. Curry, what is the difference? And I think he told me, did you tell me it was the ed code?
It was a governmental code that talks about the $50.
Governmental code. So therefore, if we go to dinner, we need to pay for our dinner ourselves or don't go.
Or don't go. That's something. Or if you go, be sure to report it.
But if it's over $50, what happens?
You report it.
Your report was over $50.
Yes, you report the amount.
But
Like, yes,
It's under your FP, your Form 700, so you should
yes,
keep
on your
track
Form
of it.
700.
So
Yeah.
when you're handed over to you once a year, you can make those modifications on each of the pages.
That is correct.
that's only in your role, correct?
Mhm. Yes, only in your role as
The Board of Trustees.
a trustee member.
But if you go to a community dinner or if you are an honoree of something,
You're reporting that on something else. That would be maybe on your taxes or your something else.
right,
As long as you're not representing the district.
right. Thank you.
Okay. I don't care, no more dinners. I'm not
Well-
gonna even go through it.
Well, the thing is just making sure you report it. Like I did my 700 form, and then I had to send an email to Mr. James and said, don't forget to include my dinner from our meeting.
Y and Z event, yes.
Yes, in November, the November meeting we had.
Right.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Do we have any other clarifying questions on some of our board policies for items 18?
I just a general, I guess, I don't know if it's a question or a request. It hasn't been consistent lately that I've noticed. I don't know if when it started in the past year or so, but when I look at these board policies or administrative regulations, like let's say 18.25 is an example where when you look at that one, that administrative regulation, it shows the last action was that it was revised March 17th, 2020. But before, what I would look for, if there was a revision for something italicized or something stricken out, and I don't see that here. And there were a few other ones where it's like, was there a mistake made, or are multiple people updating these documents?
No, actually, our process is when they come the first time for reading, so you look at the last month meeting, these were brought forward as information item with the corrected changes. And then this month they're brought back with the finalized changes for the AR. So you see them twice. So the first meeting, you see them with the corrections, and then the second meeting, you see it with a clean version for administrative regulations. And then for board policies, you see the first meeting, you see the changes if they're up for first read, and then the next meeting for second reading approval, they're a clean version.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, Ms. Lopez.
Yeah, that's fine.
What I did is, I don't know if everybody remember, but Dr. Curry requested that everybody turn in their board policy book because they were going to be printing out new policies, and so that they could update your book that you have. So a lot of these, even the ones for today, I think Paula's going to print them out. I could be wrong. And then
You're so good.
And then they'll go in our book, because some of these I have and some of these I don't have, but I did turn in my entire book. So
And Trustee Calhoun, I have the staff, we're gonna be printing them tomorrow because I want to get through the day. So you have all the clean ones from January through April. And I have them for you before the end of the week.
Okay. Well, what about the other board members? You said.
Oh, well, we're just happy that you're doing all the right stuff.
If other board members want it, I'll do the same.
All right, then moving on to item number 19, information items. Dr. Curry, is there anything that you're trying to highlight under item number 19?
I think the key for item number 19, we provide different, item number 19.01 through item 19.06 are standard items that we provide the board as information. Item 19.07, which I sent an email out previously about the Chancellor's Office and some of their executive orders, just to provide with to the board so you know some of the executive orders and how we're dealing with those executive orders here at Compton College. The one item I do want to highlight is item 19.22, regards to our performance letter on our OPEB and our PERS and STIRS trust. This shows you that because of the market and coronavirus, you saw the market did a dip. However, I'm getting updates. I got a new update today, which I sent to the board regards to where we're at, how we're performing on the market. It's looking a lot better. Yesterday wasn't a good day, but it's looking a lot better today. But we're continuing to watch our performance on the market regards to 19.22. Also too, as a board, as I mentioned last month, item 19.23, 19.24, and 19.21 will now be standard items because people are asking questions with regards to the debt for the district. So those are part of our payment plans. And the last piece of the highlight, item 19.28, is the updated Equal Employment Opportunity Plan that staff worked on, which they included recommendations from Q, from the Center for Urban Education, and also they include some of the activities working on. So next month this will be brought back to the board for approval. So if you have any other questions, comments, or concerns regards to that, please let me know. And the final piece of this is item 19.31. We will be working in the next week or so regards to the Bond Oversight Committee and having them meet through Zoom. So we haven't figured out the logistics of that, but we have to move them to a Zoom meeting. And that concludes the information item.
Dr. LeBlanc, do you have any comments or questions?
I do not.
Trustee Calhoun?
I do not.
Trustee Ramos?
Nope.
Dr. Little?
No, I do not.
Trustee Lee?
No, I do not.
I do want an update. I see the legislative update on 19.29, I want to say, which reminded me, I know that in January we went to Sacramento, and I know in February we were in DC and we had very specific asks, and some of them were monetary. And I don't know if any of that has been updated in reference to given the changes that may need to happen as a result of insufficient funds when the May revise gets disclosed, and how we're prioritizing our asks.
We have to go back and look at that in the next week or so. We start looking at some of our funding requests that we have made in Sacramento and having conversations. The key right now is to maintain our base, to make sure we maintain our FTS protection of 5980. So that's something that we're looking at. We also got to follow back up with our colleagues in DC regards to the HSI designation that we requested, and we still haven't got feedback from them. And I understand why, because of COVID-19 hit, but that's another thing that we want to follow up from those meetings.
All right, moving on to item number 20, future agenda items. If anyone has any additional questions on item 20.01 through 20.10.
Future agenda items.
Yes.
I would like to see Dr. Curry bring back that resolution. Where is it from? From the African American?
Yeah, it was a resolution that was passed out by CCLC regards to equity. We received the resolution. However, I wanted to take it to the consultative council to have them discuss it, and I'm probably going to do that next week. But I can be able to bring that back to the board. We received it. However, we received it too late to be able to place on the board agenda and also have consultation because we didn't have a consultative council meeting last week due to spring break.
Right. So that would be a future agenda for me.
Did you hear that, Dr. Curry? That's in a future agenda item to discuss. Moving on to item number 21, oral reports. Dr. Curry.
The only report I have is I want to say thank you. Everything has been busy in regards to COVID-19, but I want to say thank you to the Board of Trustees for the emergency resolution to be able to have unique powers to be able to move things forward. I think things are happening based off the work of all the faculty, staff, and also the students here. I also want to say thank you to the staff that worked on the Kreski grant for the district. We're almost approaching $700,000 in grants that we have generated for the district this year. And so I'm excited about the work from Kreski. So Pilar Hoffman was the lead on that, who's our professional development manager. And also I'm excited about our acceptance into the Achieving the Dream. And the final piece of it, in our information section, we included information about the statewide, the California Guided Pathways Project, which is item number 19.14. I'm excited about the work that's being done in regards to Guided Pathways under the direction of Vice President Martinez and also Dean of Counseling and Guided Pathways, Dr. Cesar Jimenez, to be awarded that grant. To be a part of that participation of Guided Pathways is significant for the district as we move forward. So there's been a lot of progress that's been made, even through COVID-19, but we're still moving forward and implementing what's in Compton 2024. That concludes my report.
Moving on to item 21.02, student trustee Lee. Trustee Lee, do you have anything to report?
He may be mute.
I thought he wasn't. He's not muted. All right, we'll move to, until he comes back, we'll move on to 21.03, Board of Trustees. Dr. LeBlanc?
No report.
Trustee Calhoun?
Yes, hi, real short, too short. Oh, Dr. Curry, about our students and graduating and their certificate or degrees. Have you or the faculty or whether gotten together, poor choice of words, to see exactly how you would do it in case a student wanted to be at their house and still have on their cap and gown? Have you guys decided how you're gonna work stuff out, or you're just working on it?
So we included our board letter for this month in regards to graduation. So we're gonna do a live video, and then the students are able to provide a 5 to 10 second video that will be included in the master video for graduation. And so we're right now going through the process of production and set up our timeline, but the goal is that we'll release the graduation video on June 12th at 11 o'clock a.m. And we'll provide the students with a copy of the program, their tassel, and also the diploma cover prior to the ceremony. So we'll be shipping those prior to.
Oh, good.
And they also be able to participate in next year's graduation.
Okay. And so our board president, Ms. Sonia Lopez, will like you have her on the Zoom thing so that she can have a message that she's saying to all the students. You know, I'm just asking. Oh,
Yes,
I'm sorry.
including the board letter.
I believe I'm part of the agenda as well. I did see my name to provide some a message. Thank you for the lookout.
I hadn't seen it, but I just wanted to make sure that, you know,
there is a board presence on there. Yes.
Okay. And Dr. Curry, I know this might be too early to be asking these questions. So I don't know all the classes we give or the studies that we give for degrees or certificates, but this might be early, but have you ever thought about 4 to 5 years from now, maybe 6 years, could be 2 years, if any of the classes that we have on our campus right now will be obsolete and students are going into a different direction, even though some of those classes are similar. I know everybody still needs about computers. I'm talking about things like the biggest one. So with the COVID-19, so the campus is going to be cleaned. Everything's going to be cleaned. So as down the line, this looks like it's going to be maybe not an everyday thing of cleaning, but have you decided what type of classes 2, 3 to 4 years now that will be up in the market on the upswing where students will want to take a class in either order to be their own entrepreneur with cleaning buildings or whatever, or teaching a class like that or something like that? I don't know. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you said. I want to just refer you back to, on the board agenda, we have our degrees and certificate programs. Someone asked that question previously of what we offer, but we are looking based off of Compton 2024 regards to new potential programs. And that's why you see the work we're doing in ESL to try to increase ESL. We're also looking at non-credit and also strong workforce programs. I think COVID-19 exposed some new areas of potential jobs in the future, but the health market is very important, LVN and CNA, and that's one of the things that we want to grow here at the college. but our goal was look at LV and CNA in future years due to, we just trying to get our RN program going, right? And so, but everything is outlined in Compton 2024. But next month, we can talk about some of the academic strategy, not, I won't say academic, but academic programs in regards to 2024.
Okay, all right. And so I didn't bring the list with me, but there will be some COVID-19 test sites on the school district. And I think one is Walton, but maybe Dr. Curry, I know you're busy. I'm not trying to add more work to you. Maybe we could find out what all the schools are that's going to be testing for COVID-19 for our community. And then maybe
so
we...
They reached out to us as well yesterday, St. John's, regards to the college doing a site. And I have a follow-up call with them tomorrow to get more information of what that might look like, because it's not a drive up. They basically have a mobile facility. And so they did give us information about the sites for testing, which we'll get out later this week in my message tomorrow. Actually, I'm gonna get that out. But we're also looking at the possibility of what it may be for a site here. But the whole thing is looking at what's the, if it could be drive up rather than mobile.
Oh. Do we know where they have gotten their test kits from?
This is St. John's Hospital. I don't know where they got the test kits from.
I know it's St. John's, but I was just wondering.
I don't know, but I can ask. I don't, but I can ask the question.
Please ask, because some of these kits are no good.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Maintain. Okay, so they wanted to see if Compton College would do it also, Dr. Curry?
Yeah. They approached us about being involved. I talked to senior management yesterday. The question is the process, because we want to know, would it be a drive up situation like we see at like Charles Drew, where people are able to drive in and get tested. So we just have follow-up questions that we want to follow up on, and then we can be able to see what happens after that. We don't have enough information.
Right. I think a drive-through is better than somebody getting out of their car and walking up and do it. They just do it right there. They go in one way and come out the other way if they use one of our parking lots, either the one off Artesia or the one off of Greenleaf. Just come in, go around the thing, get it, and come out. I don't know.
I think we need to keep into consideration what we talked about earlier, though, around hazard.
Okay, those were my comments, and you say you have something else to say, Dr. Little? I missed it.
I'm just saying it's a lot of considerations. That's it. That's all.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Moving on to Trustee Ramos.
I have a question. You've answered this, but you haven't answered it publicly. For Dr. Curry, is the district furloughing any employees?
Oh yeah.
No.
Okay, that's just a concern I've been hearing from people, because it is happening in other districts here in California and across the state. And my last question is, maybe you could address this at the next board meeting, but how is this pandemic affecting our enrollment, and how are we adapting to it? That's all I have.
Dr. Little?
Yes, I don't have any formal report, just an invitation. First of all, I wanted to thank Dr. Curry and his entire team as we navigate this. I also want to commend the students and to encourage them in the last few weeks of the semester to continue to strive for their educational excellence and know that we're all committed to their success. Also for self-care for both our students, our faculty, our staff, Dr. Curry and his family, and just encourage us all just to keep thriving as we, navigate these times. That's it.
All right. I don't have any extra. I know that we talked about basic needs earlier in some of our discussion. And if we can, if we have any data or any surveying that we've done to our students about additional resources that they may need. I know some of our local unifieds are providing headphones to make sure that they are able to do their work. And so if that's a need for our students and something we're able to provide, most definitely providing them access and looking into that as well. And also looking to our students who have families that were on our campus and the Child Care Center and seeing any type of additional needs that we may need. And I don't know how often the survey is being sent, and hopefully kind of giving us a breakdown of, you know, what services are being used and what are not, so that we also know the funding and how we're allocating that and making sure that we can reach out. You know, Every Table is one of the ones that has been really pushed. I know that you mentioned it on your board letter and briefly during the board meeting, but just, you know, if that's a resource and a service that's needed extra, then how can we get that out to our students? Most definitely. That's it on my part. I'll try student trustee Lee. I don't know if you have an update. I don't know if he's on either.
Let me go check.
He's not, I don't see his name on here, so he may not be on.
Might have went dead.
So then moving on to.
Use Calhoun's computer. He's on his way back. His computer shut down, so he don't use Calhoun's computer.
Got it.
Lopez?
Yes.
Student trustee is coming in here and I'm gonna walk out. He's gonna use mine.
Yep, we're gonna wait for him.
Okay.
Sorry.
No apologies.
My computer had crashed on me. It locked me out.
It's your platform to give us an update.
Okay. So during the COVID-19, students have hard time to progress on the way for the classes are going the way that some classes, students don't know how to use the laptops for their online classes, and some classes not on Canvas, so it's hard for them to do their classes. So they end up withdraw from the classes because it's hard to take classes online, and they're not used to it. Some classes online, because I got a classmate and she can't use the laptops, the laptops y'all give us to do the classwork. It's more easier to learn face-to-face, teachers face-to-face, and just tend to be online to give us for example, my classes, I got my classes, I got 2 classes, I could talk to teacher online, but on sociology classes, I can't do it because he ain't got no Canvas thing online or conferences, because it's hard for us students to get the material, do it right, and it's hard on every student.
All right. We'll ask Dr. Curry to most definitely follow up on that matter, and take a look to see what resources we can provide our students to make this process easier for everyone.
other one.
Do you have an additional update?
Yes. Okay. I was in the meeting earlier with the ASB. So Benson give me a question. Like, wants to talk to Benson about like commissioner. Benson is over commissioning a class of curriculum. So about one class that Compton College don't have is the students was very upset because the college don't have this class offered for the students to take, trying to transfer for you for a year. And Benson is saying like, let me see, let me see if I can find it. Journalism. So we don't have that on campus. So how could a student could attend the class on here, but not transfer to another institution, but we got classes for that particular student on this campus?
And just to clarify, the class that's being sought after, is that part of the curriculum? I think we've
No, that's Benson Atkins over ASB. He's the commissioner and class curriculum. That's his title. So students come to him asking like, they got certain classes for students to take to obtain an AA or AST or AAT to transfer to university. So yeah, some classes y'all don't got here. So they go to another institution to take that particular class, but they vote to come to college, but they kind of have the classes here for us. So we're gonna try to transfer out. It's like doing too much, going back and forth to each colleges, back and forth.
So Dr. Curry's on the line. Most definitely we'll have him follow up with you to address some of the concerns that are being shared by the students.
May I ask a question, Trustee Lopez?
Sure.
Just as a maybe a future report of what classes have been reported, because what I'm hearing is that there is a role for ASB as a commissioner, and students go to that student commissioner and identify the courses. And so any courses that are needed for four-year transfer that would result in students having to traverse between two schools, I think we definitely need to, one, keep track of those courses, and two, to have a rationale as to why they're not being offered. And then if it's around hiring, to ensure that our hiring practices are aligning with what those, at least the core courses are, if we're trying to maintain four-year transfer. And then the other question that Trustee Lee raised about students dropping classes because not all classes are on Canvas. Is there any clarification about that question? I don't understand what you mean by not all classes are on Canvas.
I think this is Keith Curry. I think the issue that he's bringing up, which we're gonna follow back up on, is that some faculty members had the opportunity remote. Some are doing everything through Zoom. Some are posting things on Canvas. So there's some, this is the first time I'm hearing this from this student, but I heard it from another student, is that there's an instructor that did not post stuff on Canvas who were supposed to post on Canvas. And so now we need to follow up. I think this is the same instructor we're talking about. So let us follow back up regards to it. But we're doing a survey for COVID-19 through the RP group and the Hope, I can't remember the last name of it right now, but through Temple University doing that survey, so we can find out more. But we could also do an email to students to ask them if they're experiencing any problem with their with not being able to engage with their faculty, to please contact us, and we'll do an email out to our students. So let us follow back up on that.
Please do, and if we can get an accounting of how widespread that issue is, because we've already discussed disproportionate impact around technology. So if the students have technology and the faculty are not fulfilling their role, or if we're requiring some students to go on Zoom and some students to go on Canvas, we need to have a uniform policy and a uniform platform, because I don't think we should try to have students navigate multiple platforms when we already know how disruptive it has been for many students just to get online, period. So I think it would be very helpful to get a follow-up report on the, widespread or even just how many students are reporting this and how many faculty are disproportionately using another platform.
Mhm. Mhm. That's good.
That would end my report.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Item number 22, next regular scheduled board meeting is Tuesday, May 19th. Closed session begins at 4, open session begins at 5. Today, we will be adjourning in memory of Dr. Joseph White Jr., a community educator.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. You guys have a wonderful day. It is 8:21. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Wow.
Good night all and stay safe.
Thank you. Be safe.
Thank you all.
Good.
Bye.
Bye, Trustee Jean Farrell. Be safe.
You too.
Your hands. Yeah, keep 6 feet between you. And keep hitting, making sure that there's no wood.
That's the test.
That's the test. Yes, indeed.